Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Radio Networks on Saturday, February 9th, 2013. This is episode 951. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Stamps.com. Start using your time more effectively with Stamps.com. Buy and print real U.S. postage the instant you need it right from your desk. For our special offer, go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone, and enter Tech Guy. And by Gazelle, the fast and simple way to sell last year's gadgets. Find out what your used iPad, MacBook, iPhone, Galaxy S, or other smartphones worth at Gazelle.com. And by Ring Central. I love my cloud-based phone system from Ring Central. Zero startup cost, and Ring Central is just $20 per month per user. Try it now with a 30-day risk-free trial, and when you buy one desk phone, you'll get a second phone free, up to 20 phones. Call 800-543-9980 or visit ringcentral.com and use our promo code TWIT. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. And it's time to talk about technology, computers and the internet and cell phones, home theater, all that jazz. My phone number, if you want to call and ask a question, make a comment, make a suggestion, is 8888-ASK-LEO. Let me get the call screening apparatus. Engaged apparatus. There. Make it engage. Yeah. Hey, Scotty. Yeah, there's no Scotty. I took a little time off. I want to thank Scott Wilkinson for filling in for me while I went to New Orleans last weekend. There's a little game going on, and as a result, I'm thinking about football, a little bit about football, and I'm thinking how it kind of might relate a little bit the strategies of football to the tech industry. All right, help me overextend this metaphor. All right, you can. So I'm thinking a lot of startups in the tech industry. A lot of the startups are really just throwing the long ball. That's the Hail Mary pass. That's like we're going to throw it up in the air, throw it towards the end zone, see what happens. And 9 times out of 10, but every once in a while, somebody catches it in the end zone, and then you have an Instagram selling for $1 billion to Facebook in a year of operation. You have these big risk, high risk plays, high risk, high reward plays. And then there's most businesses are, a lot of in the startup industry, that's really kind of common. But in most businesses, you're grinding it out. You're doing the running plays. You're going short yardage, inching your way up the field. And that's pretty normal for a business. Lower risk, but lower reward. And every once in a while, you see a really great running back, a Frank Gore perhaps, who sees the trouble up ahead, sees some blockage in the road. Now, there's a couple of choices at that point. You can just slog it out. You can push and you can push and you can push. You can go uphill. And there are a lot of tech companies that, in fact, I would say most companies choose to say, we're going to stay the course. We're just going to, but every once in a while, a company or a running back makes a little juke play, like kind of a little pivot. And goes, hey, that's a little trouble up ahead. I'm going to go this way and then that way, and fools the opposition. And I'm just thinking, I'm thinking about a company called Netflix when I think about this right now, because I think Netflix is a very interesting story. They're really hot in the stock market now. They keep going up and up and up. And I'm thinking, what does the stock market know that the rest of the world doesn't? Netflix, a year ago, was in a very challenging position. They were a DVD by mail business. But the problem is they had to get those movies, those DVDs, from companies that really didn't want to give it to them. And it got harder and harder. Pretty soon the companies were saying, well, you can have it, but only 90 days after we release it in the stores. Or in many cases, you can't have it at all. And, of course, that's tough for business because you're competing against stores. You're competing against Redbox. You're competing against streaming, on demand. You look at what's happening with the cable on demand. I'll see stuff now same day as DVD. Well, that's the movie companies saying, we think we're going to get pirated if we give people physical media. But if we stream it on cable, that's safe. So they're preferring cable. Meanwhile, Netflix is going, what do we do? We had a great business. Things are going really good. What do we do? I think Reed Hastings, the guy who runs Netflix, is actually one of the most brilliant entrepreneurs out there. He doesn't get a lot of credit sometimes. And last year, he did something that people said was roundly, last summer said, this was the stupidest move I've ever seen. And you know what I think? I think he fooled us all. I think he juked. I think he pivoted. And I think he's playing an interesting game. So what did he do? He said, well, we're going to separate out this DVD by mail business and this streaming business. If you want both, you'll pay more because you'll be paying $8 for each or whatever it is. And everybody said, well, you know, all the customers left in droves. The stock market killed the stock. They said, this is crazy. This is a huge mistake. And Reed Hastings even actually ended up apologizing. Oh, I made a terrible error. What a fool I was. You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking he's going home because stage 2, phase 2 is coming. So now he's got people. What was the upshot of this? Yeah, there was some bad press. Maybe he lost some customers, but something else happened. People really became aware of the fact that Netflix does streaming movies for $8 a month, unlimited. And they started looking at these streaming movies. Now, admittedly, Hollywood still doesn't like Netflix. So Hollywood's not giving them the best movies. In fact, if you look at what first-run movies are available on Netflix streaming, it's hardly any. It's hardly anything. So I think that's why a lot of people said, well, poor Reed, you know, his DVD business is dying because the movie companies aren't going to let him keep doing that. The streaming business, the movie companies are slowly strangling him. It's only $8 a month. How could he possibly make money at that? Well, let's think. Netflix saw 65% growth in its streaming business last year. Went from 20 million streaming customers to 33 million stream. Gee, what a bad business this must be. $8 a month, 33 million. That's $250 million a month. A month. A lot of that from overseas markets. But 27 million users in the U.S. Now think about that. 27 million households paying $8 a month in the United States to watch Netflix streaming. You know how many people, for instance, subscribe to HBO? 30 million, just a few million more. You know how much they pay on average, or how much the HBO gets from the cable companies on average from those 30 million people? $7 a month. Less. You know who makes more money than HBO? Netflix. But they still have this problem, right? They juked. But they got a line coming right at them still because the movie industry still doesn't want to give them content. So what have they done? And this is where the strategy all starts to become clear. They just spent $100 million with Kevin Spacey's production company for a television show to produce brand new episodes of a show called House of Cards. They're also buying Arrested Development and bringing it back. $100 million. How can that make any sense? Well, it does. All they need is 500,000 people to sign up for that $8 subscription for 2 years, and they'll break even. They're growing faster than that at their current rate without House of Cards. And you know what? House of Cards is great. It's every bit as good as an HBO show. People pay their cable company a lot of money just to get True Blood or The Sopranos or, you know. Suddenly, the strategy starts to look good. This is a big pivot. Turns out Netflix wasn't going from DVD by mail to streaming. Netflix is turning into HBO. And they've got a better model, and they're making more money. Instead of paying Disney and the other movie companies for movies, which is much more costly, believe it or not, than $100 million for 2 seasons of a TV show. It's literally billions. They can phase that out. They've got you hooked. The key on this is going to be, and this will be the thing to watch, how well these new shows like Arrested Development and House of Cards do. And so far, they're great. House of Cards, Sarah Jane in the UK, who was in our chat room, says was originally a British show. I know. I knew that. I had talked to Dana Brunetti of Trigger Street, the company that put this deal together. And he said, you know, we saw this show in Britain. We loved it. Kevin Spacey was in Britain running the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts, and he saw this. He loved it. Said we should get this for the U.S. and produce it in the U.S. And originally, I talked to Dana. He said, originally, we were sitting the night before signing a deal with another big U.S. network. And we got a call, and they said, Netflix is on the phone. And he said, what? And they talked to him. And he went back and he said, Kevin, sit down. We need to talk. And they turned their back on network, probably was HBO, I would guess, but some network television. And they chose Netflix. And Netflix is doing some interesting things. For instance, they're releasing all the episodes at once, the way we like to watch it. It's suddenly, they're on the 20-yard line. They're in the red zone. Maybe Reed's not such a dumb guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. It's such a brilliant move, and I've been watching House of Cards, and I can't stop watching it. So they basically, I think Reed Hastings 5 years ago saw this problem coming and said, hey, we can't, clearly the DVD by mail is not going to work. And streaming, we can't get the content people want, so let's make our own. And really what you're going to see is Netflix become a production company. So House of Cards is amazing. Now, I watched the British, which is also, it's interesting, it's very close to the British one. And it's better than Newsroom, much better. It's really more like, I would say, it's not quite West Wing, but it's close. If they had only gotten Aaron Sorkin. The funny thing is, the Brunetti works with Sorkin all the time. Brunetti produced The Social Network, which Sorkin wrote. And I'm sure he tried to get Sorkin for it, but Sorkin's busy writing this movie about Steve Jobs, I guess.
Start your free trial today.
Yeah, Newsroom was a great disappointment, alas.
2 free bonus months when you purchase. That's carbonite.com. Use the offer code.
Yes, that's right. Sarah Jane in the UK says Netflix understands that content is the key to success now. I've been saying this for some time. Because the same thing, I likened it, I've been likening it for years, the tech industry to the stereo industry. See, I'm old enough to remember when hi-fis, it was all about the equipment, the gear, the total harmonic distortion per channel. And it wasn't about the music. It was about, well, I'll get the 1812 Overture because the cannons and the bells really challenged those Klipschorns. They're really a great demo. And that was in the 50s, and there were all the stereo magazines. And people were all about what in the tech industry we call speeds and feeds, the numbers. And then along comes the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, Rolling Stone magazine. All of a sudden, the tech magazines the stereo magazines start to fade away, and the content magazines start taking over. It's all about what you're playing on the stereo. And suddenly people didn't really care about how many watts per channel RMS and how much total harmonic distortion. You hardly hear people talk about that anymore. They talk about the content, right? And the same thing is happening. We're in the middle of it with the computer industry. It used to be we cared what processor, how much RAM, how many gigahertz. And when somebody buys an iPad, that is not the question they ask. They say, how many apps? What apps can I play? Can I play my music on it? It's all about content. So I think that same thing is happening. It's what happens when an industry like this matures, I believe. So here's a great article, which I should have mentioned, and I will put this in the show notes on The Atlantic, the economics of Netflix's $100 million new show. And the interesting thing is, the conclusion of the article is not only will they make money, they will make more money doing this than they do streaming. That this is actually a brilliant move. This is by Rebecca Greenfield. $100 million for 2 13-episode seasons. And Reed Hastings says he plans on making 5 new shows like that per year. So it's not just the $100 million, it's $500 million a year. First of all, that's the normal, that's not unusual. True Blood is $5 million an episode. So she runs the numbers. They'd need to sign up 2.6 million more subscribers than now. But that's less than 10% increase on their current base. And in fact, they had 65% growth last year. So, yes, they'll make money on it. If it increases the growth, they're golden. This article is what opened my eyes. It's like, yes, I knew Reed wasn't that stupid. I didn't buy it. I mean, I thought this guy is really smart. How could he make what looks like a blunder. There's more to it than meets the eye.
They hooked me with their free trial. Spent my whole weekend watching hours of The Wire. Then the cool pics started drying up, and all the new movies just started taking a while. I was paying every month for a dumb DVD that just lived on my TV.
How does Kyle Benham, our musical director, do it? Each time he's found a song about Netflix. Who'da thunk it? Who'da thunk it? Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo's the number. What do you think? Can we bend this analogy more? How is football like the tech industry? Give me a ring. 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. Outside the U.S., and we do have lots of international listeners. In fact, we have Beatmaster in the studio from Switzerland visiting today. Where in Switzerland? Bern? Near Bern? Interlaken. Oh, Interlaken. Wow, that's nice. I welcome also all our listeners who are snowed in on the East Coast today. I call my mom. She said, my mom puts a chair in the middle of the room in case the trees fall over. She figures they'll hit the side of the house, and she's probably safest right in the middle. So, Mom, I know she's sitting listening to the radio in the middle of the living room. I hope you're okay. I hope the power hasn't gone out. I hope everybody's okay on the East Coast. What a blizzard. What a storm. Wow. Of course, you folks in Interlaken, that's 3 feet nothing. That's spring. That's an early spring. If you want to join us in the chat room, you can do that too. Our chat room is really a fun place. I guess I liken it. I have a couple of overwrought analogies for the chat room. One is the kids in the back of the class. When you go to a class, there's some kids that sit in the front and they listen, and there's some kids that sit in the back and kibitz, and they throw spitwads. That's kind of that's our chat room. But it's fun to be there. irc.twit.tv, or just go to techguylabs.com. You'll get a link to it there. The other analogy I use is, and this is perhaps more apt, certainly more useful, they are my brain. My externalized brain. So it's not unusual where somebody will call and ask a question. I'll go, boy, I'm not sure. Or I think there was, is there, and the chat room always says, oh yeah, Leo, don't forget. You got to try, you got to use the interrupt request 8 on that one. Isn't it nice now we don't get questions about interrupt requests anymore? 8888, but you could. If you had a question about an interrupt request, it'd be kind of fun. Every once in a while we get these kind of trip down memory lane questions, I'm using the QEMM memory manager on my DOS 3.3 machine, and I find that I'm running out of RAM at a megabyte. Is there anything I can do? I've been doing this long enough that actually is, that's a question that still gives me chills. Kyle, I can't get I'm stalling because the call screening thing is just not working. Why don't you give me the first, who's the first caller on the
Jeremy in Ontario.
Let's go to Ontario, California. Jeremy, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Jeremy. You'll have to push the button, too. Kyle.
Yeah, he's on.
Hey, Jeremy. Hello, Jeremy.
Nothing on our end.
Nothing there. Why don't we give me another line? Remember, Linux Frequency says, I need to recompile my Linux kernel. Would you recommend doing it with the multi-core on or off? Who is it?
Morgan in Southern California.
Morgan, Southern California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Morgan.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
Good.
I have a question.
Yes.
I have a Panasonic DVD VHS recorder that I am attempting to record some programs off air. Not off air. I don't have cable. I have air on the TV.
Okay.
And a couple of programs. And I'm trying to record them sequentially on the DVD side.
So you start a DVD and then record a program, and then you stop it because what you're trying to do is get the whole
Precisely.
show series on one DVD.
Thing filled up if I can.
And what happens when you stop and start it? Is it not working?
It's giving me error messages. And
the DVD player is giving you an error message?
No, the DVD recorder.
Recorder, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
What is it saying?
I don't know.
This is one the chat room's going to have to help me out because I don't. Well, I've seen these. I haven't used them extensively, and I'm not sure what error messages. I do believe they're supposed to be able to do that. Make sure you don't, though, finalize the DVD until you've got it full.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
And what I did was I used a DVD read, a blank read.
Okay, DVD-R,
DVD-R.
-R. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, there's boy,
And
talk about a trip down memory lane. Now, here we go. Plus or dash? Which is it? Which do you like? Do you want read write or just read only? I think it probably doesn't matter on that thing. It could be that you are sometimes some media is better than other media, and it could be them. Has it worked before?
I'm just starting to do this.
I would, I would try. Again, this is memory lane. It's been a few years, but there are a number of companies online that sell DVD recordable blanks online, and there's some that sell samplers.
Recordable blanks?
Well, what you're using, the DVD, these are
Yeah,
blanks.
I have a 50 of them sitting here.
I know, but what if those are not like they're not quite right?
Oh, I see what you're saying. You mean
these companies sell samplers of 5 different manufacturers so that you can, because believe it or not, there is a difference.
Really?
So, maybe get now I don't want you to go out and buy another 50-pack. That's the point.
No. Yeah.
You might try getting one DVD RW to see how that works.
I have that.
And how does that one work?
I'm having problems with both of them.
All of them?
Yeah, both of them. Both the read and the read.
Okay.
Write.
All right. That kind of makes me feel a little bit more like there's something else going on. It's nice to try different kinds of discs. It probably came with the RW, right?
No.
Oh, it didn't?
You have to buy them separately.
Okay. I'm wondering now, it could be the drive is good. You should be able to do what you want to do.
This is a brand new machine.
Yeah. Have you, okay, so here's some thoughts from our chat room.
Okay.
James says maybe you want to check and see if you've got the latest firmware for that Panasonic.
Oh, that could be it.
Yep.
And how would
Rusty Bones says his favorite is verbatim, either dash or plus R. But I'm thinking since you tried DVD-RW and DVD-R, that perhaps it's the drive or firmware or something. Now, I'm wondering.
I've had this machine for 3 years.
But you hadn't used it until now.
I have not used it until now. And
check.
If it was the firmware, how in the world would I download it to my computer and transfer it onto the?
You're going to go to the website of the manufacturer, which I presume is it Panasonic? Yeah. And look for up the latest firmware for that thing, and it will tell you how to do it. Probably what you do is I would guess, is burn it on a computer, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Make sure you, John says, make sure you select the proper media in the software when you're setting it up. It plays back movies fine, right? It's working in every other respect.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, well, it could be faulty. You've never used it this way before, so it could just be that there's a problem with it. But I would try the firmware fix.
Okay, a minute ago you said, John said what about the firmware?
No, John was saying that, what did he say? I forgot now. It moves so fast. John said, make sure in your menu setup, you choose the media that you're using. Choose the right media. All right, that would be in the setup. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I don't know what's going on.
Sorry, Leo, I threw her on hold.
I'm glad because we had to go.
Okay, cool. Do you have access?
No.
It might be that last week we changed the IP address, so if they didn't hit save when Scott Wilkinson logged out, you need to enter that new IP.
Why'd you change the IP address?
Don't ask me.
Well, I'm sure that's the problem.
Here, we got it.
So Trevor got fired, huh?
I know. I was so busy this week. I came in, and I literally found that out today. Isn't that crazy?
What's going on? Give me this scoop. Is Premiere falling apart? We're on the air, so you probably should say anything.
Yeah.
It would be wise for you to recuse yourself at this point.
Yeah,
But I'm just dying to know because I don't talk to anybody. But that's the CFO gone, my boss gone, all within a period of a few months. Is Jim Rome gone?
Well, he signed that new deal.
With
CBS.
Oh, that's right. He was in New Orleans. That must have cost him a lot of money. No wonder they're being nice to me. I'm the second-tier guy who is now rapidly becoming important. Don't worry about it, Scott. Whoever replaced him we'll take your invoice. Scott, we'll get you on. Meanwhile, if Beyonce shows up in the studio, I'm ready. This is for put a ring on it. And this is, I can't remember. I've already forgotten the instructions. Lasers. Of course, the effect was somewhat mitigated by the fact that even though they said, you have, the guy, the stadium announcer was the guy from KOA, which got the big voice. You'll find in your seats blue finger lights. Do not open the package or turn them on until instructed. Of course, immediately, the whole stadium, whoa, lights. You don't give people sitting with nothing to do finger lights and say, now, whatever you do, don't open the lights. And then they show the instructions on the screen, and then Beyonce's performing, and the screen, you don't see it at home, but the screen goes, okay, put on your lasers. And everybody says, I already got it on. I lost it. What are you talking about? I lost in the first quarter. I think it's under the guy's seat over there. And of course, Lisa goes down the whole row and takes all the lasers. No. It was fun. Are you getting Scotty for me, anybody? All right. Scott, we're trying to call you. How was the blackout? You know, it wasn't scary there because it was there were a lot of lights still on. So had it gone black, dark, that would have been really scary. 71,000 people. And then who knows? You know, you go out in the city of New Orleans, and if there's no power there, yay. Apparently the audio was bad at home. I didn't notice that, but it was pretty good in the stadium. That's right. That's what I said. Fortunately, we're all equipped with blue finger lasers. Turned out to be a prescient move. All right, I'm rebooting the machine, but we got Scott anyway, so. Mark in Boston, they say a relay failed. See, the thing that's suspicious to me is they keep changing the story of what happened. I'm very suspicious. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, Carbonite here, and then I will email you the IP address.
Okay.
Does that work?
We'll see what. Yeah.
Okay, I'll email it to
This is the song Kyle picked to commemorate the blackout at the Super Bowl last night. I was just showing the people in the studio. I kept the official Beyonce commemorative finger lasers that they handed us out in the Did they even mention it on the broadcast that everybody in the stadium had been given blue lights to put on their fingers and wave when Beyonce sings "Put a Ring on It"? Did they mention that? I don't think anybody knew. Did you notice there were twinkling blue? No. What a waste of money. They handed out, because each seat had at least 4 of these, 2 pairs of these. So they handed out 150,000 blue finger lasers. Actually, 300,000. And nobody cared. All right, we're getting Scott Wilkinson on the line here, our home theater expert. I want to thank Scott for filling in last week. Hope you had a lot of fun with the home theater show last week. We're seeming to have some trouble with Scott. Can you hear me anyway?
I can. I can hear you.
All right, we're good now. Scott Wilkinson is the editor or one of the editors at the Secrets of Home Theater and Hi-Fi at that's hometheaterhifi.com. He does a great podcast for us called Home Theater Geeks. He is a home theater geek.
After all.
So thank you for filling in for me last week.
Oh, you're so welcome. It was just wonderful fun, as always. Had a bunch of great questions.
You probably have every question that you could possibly answer has now been answered, so I imagine there's nothing to talk about this week.
Oh, no. Yeah, well, there's nothing. No, absolutely nothing. No, there's plenty to talk about.
All right. One of the things I would think that you talked about on Saturday was people buying big screen TVs for the Super Bowl. Do we know what the sales figures were? Because that's one of the classic reasons people go out and get a big TV.
Oh, it's absolutely. I think it is the largest, the biggest sales day for
the day before
big screen
the Super Bowl.
TVs.
Yep.
I haven't seen any numbers yet, so I should go look for those. But generally speaking, yeah, there were tons of people calling in. We had a long discussion. I mean, long as in over the course of the show, off and on, about LCD versus plasma, the quintessential question of big screen TVs. And, I kept saying, I prefer plasma when it's reasonable to do it. But there was one caller who called in and said, I want a big screen TV for my exercise room, and it's windows all around and bright lights, and what do I do? And I said, well, in that case, you really want an LCD.
Because it's brighter.
Because it's brighter.
And it's less reflective, although I think manufacturers are getting very good at making displays that somehow, some sort of magical coating, are less reflective than they used to be. Used to be plasma was really like a mirror. You had to really darken the room.
It still is for the most part. And some LCDs are too. I have to make that point that Samsung in particular and some others have a very reflective coating, a screen, on their LCD TV, which they say helps the black levels. Yeah. And black levels are the bugaboo, one of the bugaboos of LCD TVs. So they want to try and make them darker if they can, and that's one way they claim to be able to do it.
Yeah.
So you're right, though. Plasmas generally have that problem more than LCDs do, which is one of the only bugaboos of plasma, other than the fact that it's not as bright.
Yeah.
So if you're in a bright room, you probably want an LCD.
Should we wait for OLEDs? Because I'm kind of in the market for a new TV. Not yet, but mine's a little old. It's a 720p, 1080i instead of a 1080p screen.
Right, your older Pioneer.
My older Pioneer. And I feel like maybe it's time, but I'm waiting because I want to see, are these OLED displays going to hit the market anytime soon?
Well, yes. Apparently next month, LG will start selling its 55-inch OLED or OLED in the U.S. market. It's already selling in Korea and elsewhere in the world, but it'll come to the U.S. in March.
Very expensive.
55-inch TV for $12,000.
Okay, never mind. Never mind.
That's a very expensive technology, and it's going to come down eventually, probably. Now, there's a problem with the yields, right? The manufacturing yields. They get a very high failure rate with these products, the way that they make them. So that's one reason it's so expensive. And
but I have to point out that was true of LCDs in the early era, and that's why the original LCDs were not very big, because they could get panel. They'd make a big panel and they'd cut off the stuff that didn't work, and they got bigger and bigger. They were able to do better and better with no defects or few defects. And now you can get LCDs that are ginormous. So these things get solved. I think one of the areas of confusion with OLED is people say, oh, it's an LED, so what's the O stand for? It's not the same, is it?
No, it's not. The O stands for organic.
But it's not an LED like our LEDs. Well, what is it?
It's not. It's
emissive, right? It's not.
It's emissive, correct.
That's a huge difference. LCD televisions are shutters, lights being shined through these shutters, and they open and close.
Correct. Tiny little shutters. These are the pixels.
And a plasma and your old CRT televisions emitted light. They would The cells would be stimulated by electricity, and they would glow. That's more like the OLED.
Correct. That's exactly right. That is more like OLED. OLED is a different type of light-emitting diode.
There's no LCD involved at all.
No, none whatsoever. Each of the pixels emits its own light. which means it can go down to 0 black. See, the problem with LCDs is, as you said, they're shutters.
And you can't get it perfectly dark.
You can't get them perfectly closed. And so there's always some light leaking through them, which is why they don't achieve these super dark black levels, like plasmas or particularly CRTs in the old days.
And they have gotten better, admittedly, especially with LED backlighting has improved that. Yeah.
That's exactly right, because you can dim the LED backlights very nicely. That's why they have gotten better blacks.
I see.
But the OLED TV, you don't even need that. It just goes to black easily.
Right.
And so, in other words, it's like local dimming with each individual pixel.
And it does it quickly. And this is
very
quick.
Thing. Oh, the switching speeds are in the microseconds.
So LCD televisions, whether they're LED backlit or not, have a noticeable response lag in the order of milliseconds. And that makes a difference in action and things that are moving very quickly.
Correct.
It softens it. You can't get a very crisp action. So
that's why they have implemented something called frame interpolation with these 120 hertz TVs and 240 hertz TVs, which insert artificial frames, synthesized frames, in between the real frames of video image. And they say, well, let's see, the moving object is here in this frame and here in this frame. I'll stick it in the middle in the synthesized frame, and that's supposed to clean things up. But it also introduces an artifact called the soap opera effect, which makes movies in particular look like they're shot on video, and a lot of people just hate that, much more than they hate the motion blur.
And yet, despite all of the things we've just said, LCDs way outsell plasma.
Way outsell. Part of the reason is when you go into a store, it's a brightly lit environment. You got this wall OTVs, and the LCDs stand out because they're brighter. They put out more raw light, and the plasmas look kind of dull by comparison.
I think the OLEDs will stand up very well. They looked very bright.
Oh, yeah.
Noticeably higher contrast. I mean, boy, the beautiful video they were showing on some of these was stunning.
Oh, man. The other problem with OLEDs, though, is I don't know that they've solved this problem, but the blue, each of the 3 colors that they use, red, green, and blue, are a different material, a different compound. And the blue material in particular has a tendency to fail or degrade sooner than the other 2. And so when you start losing blue, everything starts looking red, green,
This reminds
yellow.
me of the early days of plasma.
Yeah,
where the screens would actually get what looked like brighter. They couldn't do the blacks as well, and so they would just kind of fade out. I mean, they would look horrible. The colors would get less saturated. So how quickly is that going to happen?
Well, we don't know. Some companies, Samsung in particular, has claimed we've solved that problem. But there's no way to know that until you've
had one for a few years.
Until you've had one for a couple of years. Yeah, I mean, it's going to take.
I got to say, it's a problem from the consumer's point of view. May not be a problem from Samsung's point of view. Wouldn't they love to sell a new TV to you every few years?
Yes, they would.
They've been dying to figure out how to do it. Maybe they figured that out.
Maybe they figured it out.
Scott Wilkinson, Home Theater Geeks, is every Monday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern at twit.tv or visit twit.tv/HTG. Scott, thank you so much. We'll talk next week.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Hold on a sec. Never did get video, but that's fine. You know, it's a radio show, so I don't think anybody...
Yeah, I'm trying to let's see if I stop.
Don't worry about it. Don't
worry about it. Now it's too late, of course.
I'm glad you
In fact, there it is.
Is it coming now? IT, it could be the worst job in the world.
There it is.
I
had to
it's
start
a great job when you're a hero. When you do the job right, that's fine. And that means having the right tools. That you did it, because especially tools that don't slow you. Continue on with the Scott Wilkinson show. Who's on Home Theater Geeks on Monday?
Oh, on Monday, I have Carl Lang, who's a color scientist, who is going to be talking about a new metric, a new measurement. Normally, we talk about white light output, so we measure the brightness. And we were talking about this on the show, that LCDs put out more light than plasmas. But that's measuring only white. Now, what the problem is that, in particularly with single-chip DLP projectors, which have this color wheel, when you measure the white light output, you get a certain value. Then, when you measure the red, green, and blue light output and add them together, it's often not the same. It should be. The ideal is for those two things to be the same. When they're not, that means that it's not reproducing color accurately. But that's not part of the general measurement regimen until now. I think it should become part of it, and certainly I'm going to include it in my measurements on reviews in the future. So it's a very geeky episode, but it's going to be one that I think is very, very interesting. 3-chip projectors, such as 3-chip DLPs, LCDs, and LCOS projectors generally have the same what's called color light output as they do white light output. Whereas single-chip DLPs, which have a color wheel, often don't. And the reason they don't is that this color wheel, we're going to see this on Monday. We have pictures of different color wheels because different projectors, single-chip DLP projectors, have different color wheels. All of them have a red, green, and a blue filter segment, and the white light passes through them as it spins. And as the red part comes up, you see the red part of the image, and the green part comes up, you see the green part of the image, and the blue part comes up, you see the blue part of the image. Those get mixed together temporally, quickly enough so that your eye blends them together. But a lot of these color wheels also have a white segment, and the white segment boosts the white color output, the white light output. So when you measure a white screen and you measure the amount of light coming off of a white screen, a white image, it's a certain value. It's higher. Then when you only measure red, green, and blue and add those together, you get a much lower value. And so the image is not as accurate as you think it should be. So this is what we're going to be talking about on Monday, and I think it's going to be really great. As I said, very geeky.
By the way, Kyle, I do have a call screening now. You're right. It was the new IP address. So
there you go.
Yeah, they changed it during your show and didn't tell me.
Yeah, I was having trouble too, in fact, and Kyle ended up just taking the calls for me.
I don't think the engineering people like us. Maybe because we've rattled their cage just a few too many times, but it's just gotten worse and worse. I think what we're doing, or the plan is to move the call screening up here to our studios.
Oh, to actually have the screener up there?
Yeah, eliminating all of this mess.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And one hopes the echo as well.
Right, exactly.
So I'm going to give it to you. Take away. I'll be back in a minute.
Okay, no problem. Yes, C-Sound. Carl Lang is going to be a great guest on Home Theater Geeks. I'm really looking forward to it very much. And I want to thank everybody in the chat room for hanging out with me last week. I had just a great time, wonderful time, sitting in the studio on the ball, as it were, and talking to everybody there. Had a very interesting in-studio guest from Australia. He works on a farm. He's a farmer in Western Australia, and he watches all the Twitch shows on his iPad in his tractor as he's driving around his fields. Very funny. Cool dude, definitely. Okay, so let's see. Oh, N7XLQ John. Anyone know that color thing above Scott's left shoulder? Let's see, is it my left shoulder? It must be this one over here. It's a clock. Actually, I have 3 clocks on set here. Yes, so that's what it is. Figure out how to read it.
All right, thanks, Scott.
My pleasure. Yeah.
All right, Nod 32 live read.
Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy, 8888. Ask Leo. That's the phone number. If you have a question, a comment, a suggestion, I'd love to hear from you. If you can, Kyle, now I do have the call screening situation set up, but I don't see anything on it. If you could just, like, I don't know what it is, you hit return at the excuse us, folks, a little program content behind the scenes here. Can you hit return?
Bob in Manhattan.
In Manhattan Beach. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Hi, Bob.
Hello, Leo.
Hi, how are you? Welcome.
Pretty good. I've got some questions about, I've got a PC and I've had evidence eliminator on it. I travel.
What are you up to?
The world on occasion.
Evidence eliminator. That sounds suspicious. I would say that's more suspicious than whatever evidence is on your PC. What does that do? Wipe your traces, wipe your tracks?
It's a hard drive eraser. They overwrite the thing and so forth. And there's other names and so forth. Mac is
no longer available. By the way, they went out of business last June.
Okay, then I need somebody like that with a less suspicious name.
That might be where they went out of business. The big window pops up when you're at the airport. Evidence eliminator has just run on this computer. It's like, oh, that's interesting. Maybe we should see what it just eliminated. So, what evidence eliminator did?
Getting something that erases my programs too. I don't want that.
Right. No, what it did, which was so, for instance, your browsers now, Chrome, Firefox, not Internet Explorer, I don't think, but Chrome and Firefox have this private browsing mode where nothing is saved from your browsing session.
I've got to start. What is it? Start.
It's usually called private browsing, but you'll be able to see it in the menu of your browser, and or you can do it manually. But the nice thing about private browsing is each session is private. Nothing is saved. No cookies. No cached images. And generally, that is the activity that people want to hide. Now, the nice thing that Evidence Eliminator did, and this is something that's not commonly known, if you create a file and you save the file and then you erase the file, that file data is still on the hard drive. But worse, even if you use an eraser that's secure, the swap space may have some of that data. And unallocated space on the hard drive often has traces of old data. So what Evidence Eliminator did, and there are other programs that do this, would overwrite unallocated disk space to make sure that the only stuff that was there was undeleted files, and that if you did delete a file, that nothing would be preserved afterwards.
Yeah.
So, and I think there are other programs. In fact, let me ask the chat room. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. Internet Explorer does have private browsing. I apologize. So in Chrome, it's called Incognito. In Internet Explorer, it's called private browsing. And I'm curious if anybody has a suggestion for a replacement for Evidence Eliminator. I bet you there's a this should be an almost free utility. It's not a hard thing to do.
Does this mean that my private Evidence Eliminator on my PC no longer works?
No, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. It won't be updated ever again.
Yeah.
It depends what you're trying to hide. If you don't want somebody to see the browsing history, private browsing is usually sufficient. Remember, though, that when you are using the Internet, that somebody is logging your presence. The Internet service provider and any site you visit all know you're there.
Yeah.
But if it's just you don't want somebody, I don't know, a significant other perhaps, to see what's on that hard drive, then usually incognito browsing is sufficient. There are other programs. If you wanted to, if you had, this is not unusual, confidential documents on your hard drive. Let's say we had this question a few weeks ago, a realtor, and on the hard drive you store applications that include private financial information, social security numbers, credit card numbers, things like that. You have a responsibility, in fact, to make sure that, say, somebody steals that laptop, they can't see that stuff. That would be very embarrassing to have to call your clients and say, oh, by the way, I just revealed all your private financial records to some unknown stranger who stole my laptop. That would be a strong case for something called encryption, and I would suggest a number of choices. Both Microsoft and Apple offer built-in file encryption in their operating systems. Apple calls it File Vault. Microsoft calls it BitLocker. Those are good. They're built in. There's also a very good free third-party solution that I actually prefer called TrueCrypt. You can get that at truecrypt.org. That has a lot of nice features one of the things about using File Vault or BitLocker is it's apparent to anybody who's looking that you have encrypted data on your hard drive, which may be a red flag for somebody, Law enforcement might look at that and say, okay, now give us the password. With TrueCrypt, you have what's called plausible deniability, where you can encrypt a file and it's not apparent that there is an encrypted file there. It's invisible. You can even hide it within an image, for instance. There's a lot of interesting things. Okay, the chat room has come up. I've been stalling a little bit as the chat room comes up with some replacements for Evidence Eliminator. BleachBit. That's a little bit better name. BleachBit. CCleaner will do this too. CCleaner is normally known as a registry cleaner, which I don't recommend. That's a dangerous thing to do, but CCleaner will also clean up temp files and other stuff. Slim Cleaner. The Glary Utilities, Glary. And Web8105 in the chat room says, if you're going to give away or sell the computer, Derek's Boot and Nuke, or DBAN, is a good choice. Now, I know I just said a bunch of stuff. Don't worry, because all you have to remember is techguylabs.com. We'll put all the links there So you can go there and refer to it. So there's a few choices, some that will do, depending on what you want to do different things, and a couple that will actually do the same thing Evidence Eliminator did. I think everybody has the right to privacy. Certainly don't encourage illegal behavior, but I think everybody has the right to privacy. And there's lots of legitimate reasons why you might want your computer to be sanitized. And there are some good solutions for that. WebRoot has some solutions too, apparently. Let's put all of these: TrueCrypt, Eraser, BleachBit, DBAN, all of that stuff on the website, techguylabs.com. As long as we're talking great utilities, we're going to come back in just a second. And I don't have the names yet either, Kyle. I see the questions now. I'm sorry, a little behind the scenes. I see the questions now, Kyle, but I don't see the names and locations. Can you hit return on those too? Sometimes people say, Leo, you're the tech guy. Why do you have more technical problems on your show than any other? Because I'm the tech guy. When you live on the bleeding edge, sometimes you get cut. And now I see the names. Now I see the cities. Now I see David in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Hi, David. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi there. Love the show, and
Thank
your
you.
website is fantastic.
You like the new one? We put some effort into that.
It's wonderful.
And by effort, I mean a lot of money.
From where it was before to where it is now, and it's so easy to access.
Good.
And pinpoint, get answers real fast.
Well, I thank you for the plug, and now I have to take a break for news at the top of the hour. But will you hang on, and you will be your number one on the runway, David. Hang in there. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Rump. So what brings you here, Beatmaster? Are you visiting the States, or what are you doing?
Business is all about
vacation,
communication.
right? But not about email with giant... Yeah, no, you can't go to New York, sorry. It's closed for the week. I wish I were there, though. 3 feet of snow. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. It's the 5th worst storm in the history of New York. Nemo. That's okay, so that's funny. So the Weather Channel has decided to name winter storms. The Weather Service is pissed. They said, that's not official. Don't use... That's marketing. And the Weather Channel says, well, people need a name for their storms. And the next one is what? Orca. Next one's Orca. So that's pretty funny. No, you can't see Beatmaster. I don't have a camera pointing at him. You can come over here though. Say hi to the chat room. They all want to meet you. Beatmasters are absolute regular. No, so Nemo is not the fish or the captain. But I mean, it comes from that. But what it means in Latin, I think, is there he is, Beatmaster, ladies and gentlemen, Captain Nemo.
Hey, Chad.
It's always fun when you should stick around. The GizFizz you could be our GizFizz hero.
I was already.
Everybody's saying hi. So Nemo means something like in Latin, like no one, no person. So that's why Captain Nemo, he had no name, and so it's a legitimate name. Anyway, back to Scott Wilkinson, who is still with us.
I'm still with you.
Take it away, Scott. I'll give you a few minutes here.
Thanks. Always happy to do it, give you a break. And now that I have my video working, I don't know why my XChat stopped working, but I'm going to have to look into that later. But I discovered it moments before airtime. So I'm in the web browser. So yeah, there were a number of people asking me about my clocks. I've got a clock over here, and I got 2 clocks over here, and I challenge you to, if you can see the little red blinking lights here above the ticks clock, to figure out how it reads, how to read it, how to tell the time on it. It's kind of interesting. But other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Let's see here. The problem with this IRC in Safari is that it always jumps back down to the bottom, and I can't stay scrolled up. It always jumps. Jab. I give up. Give up on what? It is a binary clock. That's correct. Joel H. But it's not just regular binary. It is, in fact, a binary coded digital. Let's see. Yes, I am using Safari, Jeff. That may be the problem. The Sioux, former employer, had one of these weird clocks. Never learned how to read it. What time is it? Well, since I'm not looking at the clock, I can't really see it, and I have a clock on my computer, so that's what it is. Wow, Dale Poco, the time is now 2 a.m. in Bakava, Belgian Congo. Is that where you are, Dale Poco? Wow. A Villafane speaker behind you, are they Tandy speakers? Well, no, they're Tannoy. Tannoy speakers, FM8s, really nice studio monitors, coincident drivers. Woofer is the big circular thing, and the tweeter is at the center of the woofer, so it's very aligned. Gives you beautiful sound stage. It's what I mixed my what's in my last CD on, and they sound really, really good. Wisconsin guy, auto-tune. Yes, auto-tune is a very cool thing. I think it got used too much. We'll probably hear some of it on the Grammys this Sunday. Thank you, MS McCanish. Thank you for your kudos on my appearance on the show last week. I just had a fabulous time, as always. Always happy to come and sit in for Leo when he's off doing something fun, like the Super Bowl. Let's see. Dagdoggin 12NH using Google Chrome, and the chat jumps too. So, okay. My audio isn't good. Sorry to hear that.
You're completely degrading.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Well,
I'm going to let you go. And
yeah, let me go.
All right. Thank you, Scott. You probably had enough time on the air anyway.
Well, never enough.
Never enough. Always more. Thank you, Scott.
I'm so happy to help. Thanks so much.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And don't worry. Even if Trevor's not there, you'll goodbye.
I'm sure.
You'll get paid.
Thanks.
All right. Yeah. He's usually pretty good. I don't know what's going on. Grog, I would like...
You're tuned to Premier Channel 7. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, will begin at 6 minutes
let me see
past
what's on the menu.
From Premier Radio Network.
Market. 400,000 without power, Massachusetts. I bet Mom has no power. She's in Cranston. Oh, this is yesterday's soup. Oh, no, that's today. I had the Cuban back black bean. Cream of broccoli. That sounds good. Large cream of broccoli. Thank you.
You're tuned to Premier Channel 7.
Wind whips
Leo
through Cape
Laporte,
Cod.
the tech guy, will begin at 6 minutes past the
Call my mom on the
From
air.
Premier Radio Networks.
Yes.
Yeah. That's cool. But I said, because my nephews are like 12 and 10, I said, are they excited? She said, no. I think it's kind of scary now. The storms are so big these days. It's a little. We never got snow like this when I lived in Providence. Ever.
This is Premier Channel 7. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, will begin at
my daughter,
6
who's
minutes past
a
the
native
hour.
Californian,
From
went to
Premier
school
Radio
in,
Networks.
over New York State. It was one winter, and that was it. She said, I'm not going back. It's too cold. It's too cold. She went to Bard it's beautiful. Bard's beautiful on the Hudson River, but it snowed, and they would have at least 4 feet right now. So let's call Mom.
This is Premier Channel 7. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, will begin at 6 minutes past the hour. From Premier Radio Networks.
I probably shouldn't call her on the air. That's kind of rude. Mom, we're on the air right now.
You're tuned to Premier Channel 7. Leo Laporte.
14 inches in the Hudson
guy,
Valley.
will begin
Wow,
at
so it's
6
nothing.
minutes past
Oh, that's
the hour.
interesting.
From Premier Radio Networks.
Usually I think of that as being the snowy place. I made her get a landline that she could use to...
You're tuned to Premier
self-power,
Channel
so
7.
she'll be right.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy, will begin at 6
Yeah.
minutes past the hour. From
Forget
Premier
what-
Radio
what's not
Network.
gonna work in the power outage. Oh, yeah. Further, by the way, spelled with 2 U's, Baltimore. Further. The drop cam's offline. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. And it's time to talk about computers and the internet, cell phones and camcorders, home theater, MP3 players, giant snowstorms, football games, Netflix, and anything else on your mind. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number. 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. Outside the U.S., you can call, and we do have a call from Canada on the line right now. And all you have to do is use Skype or some other voice over the internet product, and you'll be able to give us a ring. 888 +1 888-827-5536. Hour number 2 of the Tech Guy Show. Our Tech Guy Labs website is open despite the snow. We're not snowed in yet. You can visit the techguylabs.com site and get links to our show notes, information, things we talk about on the show. And, of course, after the fact, video and audio from the show. 8888 Ask Leo. Just watching somebody in the chat room put a video of a time-lapse video of snow falling in the Nemo storm. Where is this? New Haven, Connecticut. And I was just watching that, and boy, the snow just covered the camera. It's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. If you're in the storm, please stay warm, stay safe, stay home, and keep listening to the radio. Back to David in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Hi, David. Thanks for your patience.
Hi, Leo. Thank you. So the issue is navigation in a car, and I'm embarking on a new career, and it will involve a lot of driving, so I'm considering the purchase of a new car and whether or not to get the navigation package that is available as an option. I am used to using my trusty Garmin GPS. You plop it on the dashboard there, and you key in the address, and a little 3-inch screen. You follow the magenta line, and you get to your place. And the car I'm considering is actually a Chevy Volt, and it has a 7-inch touch screen.
Oh, I love that. Oh, isn't that nice? I've been in the Volt. What a nice cabin. Yeah.
Yes, and you can get the navigation package as an option.
How much extra is the navigation package?
Well, I'm not sure. I think it was at least $400 or $500.
Oh, if it's only that, that might not. See, sometimes it's thousands because you also get the, special surround sound speakers and all of that.
Actually, now that you mention it, it probably was around 1,000 because you have to get the Bose low emission, low energy sound system along with it, which I'm okay with.
They tie it all in together. The sound system's worth upgrading. It's a very good question. In the days of smartphones having great GPS, do you need to get a GPS in your car? So I'll tell you the pros and cons. On the Volt, you're going to have a nice big screen. It's going to be very easy to use. Chevy says they're going to put Siri in the Volt. I don't know if that has happened yet or will happen with the one you're buying. So the thing I would, and I don't have experience with this, the thing I would see is how hard it is to use that GPS. I've used a GPS, in-car GPS, that's miserable. Toyota has the most miserable system that is impenetrable. And it's so much easier. In fact, I end up doing it, picking up my smartphone and saying, where's Natick, Massachusetts, and get me there now. And it will do it. So the other drawback of the in-car GPS is it gets out of date fast. You often can download updates, but they're not cheap, and you have to figure out how to get them in the car. You're going to have that car for many years, and in all likelihood, the maps in that car will be out, depending on how quickly the area you're in changes, will be out of date before the car is. So there's a couple of negatives as well. Difficult to use and out-of-date maps. The positive is it's built in. It's going to be a nice big screen. It's it's often difficult to manipulate a smartphone or a tablet and use it as a GPS device. Maybe illegal in some states even to touch that phone, remember, while you're driving. However, I'll give you the negative on the smartphone. It's also going to use, in some cases, it's going to use bandwidth. And if you've got bandwidth caps, it might be an issue. If you use Google Maps or Apple's Maps, it downloads those maps as you go. On the other hand, you can buy Garmin and other TomTom and other GPS apps for your phone that will not use bandwidth. They'll merely use the GPS in your phone. You're thinking of using a smartphone instead?
Yeah, that was the alternative, and I could use it through the Bluetooth interface.
Exactly.
But I want to see the map on the big screen, and I want to be able to, I want to be able to work in the event I don't have cell phone access. I might be in small towns and areas that have poor cell coverage.
Exactly.
So I can't depend on that.
Exactly.
And I don't want to plop my old Garmin GPS on top of the dashboard.
Oh, having an in-car GPS is so nice. I used to do the same thing, and then I got a new Mustang, and it just was wonderful to have the big screen, to have it in-car.
Right.
But what I noticed, I have a 2010 Mustang. It has the Ford Sync, so I can tell it, to guide me here. And I use it, but I noticed that some of the times I will still use my smartphone nav. And I'll tell you, the best nav I've ever used is an iPad, because it is a bigger screen than you're ever going to have in that car. And then, I like Motion X GPS, which you can download the maps ahead of time, so you don't have to pull the maps from the internet. You don't have to be even on a 3G signal. You just need the GPS to work, which is pretty much everywhere. And that's, in my opinion, the best maps out there. And they're updated automatically. So this is not. Those are the pros and cons. I would guess a lot fewer people. I know a friend of mine just bought a new car, and she did not get the nav. She had it in her old car. She did not get the in-car nav. She said, but I got an iPhone. I don't need it. And I think that's going to increasingly be the case. Still not as good in some, you got a nice big screen. That's pretty nice. I like the Volt screen.
So are they mounting their smartphones on a little holder in the car? Is that?
Sure. That's one thing you can do. And there are lots of little different ways to do that. There's suction cup mounts. You also, again, have to pay attention to the law. Sometimes it's illegal to mount anything on your windshield to block the view. Sometimes, with Google's Android nav, it talks to you pretty loud. I can just keep it in my pocket, and it will just tell me. It depends. Do you want to see the map or not, in other words?
I do.
Yeah, in that case, you will want to mount it. Now, there's one other thing I should mention. Waze, W-A-Z-E. Now, this is a nav solution that's very different from the kind of thing that's going to be in your car, because it's crowdsourced traffic and road information that's kept up to date by all the other Waze users. That is a truly amazing application. It's the same thing, turn-by-turn directions. It does pull 3G, so it will not work outside of a cell data area. But if you're in Ann Arbor, for instance, where there are, I'm sure, many Waze users, or any other big metro, you'll get information like, hey, a couple hundred feet ahead, there's a car on the side of the road, or there's a traffic hazard. There is a police officer down the road. There is slow traffic here. I've been rerouted by Waze from basically what was a dead standstill on the freeway to back routes that I'd never even heard of. Saved me huge amounts of time and stress. I am a big fan, and Waze is free. Doesn't mean, of course, and I use it in conjunction with my car, turn by turn. So it doesn't mean you can't, you're going to get the nice stereo speakers. I'd get the GPS. You got it. You'll use it most of the time. And then there are times when you'd want to use Waze. Now, what I do with Waze is I have an iPhone case from a company called Rockform, R-O-K-F-O-R-M. It goes on the case. It goes on the phone, and then it has a notched circle in the back of the case, and I have a knob that I've glued to the dashboard. When I get in the car, the phone goes on that knob, and it's actually now mounted physically, rigidly, beautifully on the dashboard at exactly where I want it. I also often will plug it in because Waze does suck battery life. And there's, in many cars now, there's a USB port or a charger port very near the dashboard. And that's a nice thing to have both the GPS and the Waze alerting you to road hazards and so forth.
Well, and both finally, I guess the last method besides map, paper map is...
paper maps? What are those?
Where do you even get that now?
I used to always buy, when I'd moved to a new neighborhood, that book. Remember that big book with all the maps in it? The traveling salesman would use? I used to love those. Whatever happened to those? Hey, hang on. We're going to take a break. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Thomas's Guide. That's right, the Thomas Guides. I suppose they're still in business. I love maps. I always loved having the Thomas Guide, and you could... they're doing it again, raising postal rates. That means... It was always fun. It's not bad. Sometimes you get... It's like having a second opinion on the route. It's not bad. I think that the problem is if your in-car GPS does a bad job of routing in your area, you're stuck with it. It's difficult to update it. Ford will update via USB. I imagine that Volt will also do that. I think it's nice to have. Oh, wouldn't that be cool? Have it go to the big screen. The Volt might be able to do that. I wonder if it could do that. That would be interesting. Does the Tesla S, with its 17-inch screen, I wonder if you can pump your phone's display into that. AirPlay or something. That would be awesome. in your parking lot.
You're a hero when you do
somebody came up with their Tesla S and we took a ride in it. It was very nice. I would love to get a Tesla S. It uses Google Maps, yeah.
One simple integrated cloud-based product that does it all, baby. With Go to Assist, you could quickly and easily.
I know. I used to be a map freak, map geek. Love maps. Still like old antique maps, things like that. Thomas Guide stopped publishing last year. Oh, that's an end. There's a good example. When are they going to stop making the yellow pages? Who the hell wants a 3-foot-high pair of books, the telephone book and the yellow page? What do you do with that? Some people still use them. Okay. Older people like me. Where's the phone book? I'm not going to use that big computer. Yeah, that's the end of an era. I did not know. It's like Encyclopedia Britannica. Just gone. Gone. And these companies, there's an example of companies that just can't make, they can't break the tackle. They just, they cannot survive. Kodak's another example. Company that really tried. They saw it. They saw the blitz coming downfield. And they juked and jiggled. Hey, Glenn. Hey, Julia. Welcome. You did? Well, he's still alive. Were you at UCSC? And Brown. No. What do you teach?
I don't teach.
What did you do? Oh, yeah. So you would have known him, of course. Yeah. Oh, you were a student at Brown. Oh, that's neat. And then went to UCSC?
Yes, and I went there for my PhD.
Oh, that's awesome. So you ran into him. Yeah, my mom's still in Rhode Island. She's in Cranston, snowed in right now. So you're a geophysicist. That's cool. What do you do? Oh, that must be interesting right about now. Holy cow. Where are you based? Santa Cruz? Monterey, of course. Monterey, of course, yeah. Yeah, how cool. Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming in. Can't believe they're going to try to do the Super Bowl in New Jersey next year. It's an open-air stadium. And they say, yeah, no, we're still doing the halftime show. That's good. I hope it snows. I hope they have 2 feet of snow. And I hope the Niners are there, and I hope I'm there. That's what I hope. Yeehaw!
Do you remember this game? The Oregon Trail.
Oregon Trail. Yeehaw! People like Kyle grew up on the Oregon Trail. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. That is a classic. The Oregon Trail. And then, oh, yeah. Now, Kyle, did you have that in school? Is that where that comes back to you from?
Elementary school.
Elementary school on an Apple IIe, probably. It's still around. I bet they have an app now of the Oregon Trail game. People really grew up on that game, the Oregon Trail. 8888 Ask Leo. We were talking to David in Ann Arbor. You had one more question, David?
Well, I just was going to say that the other form is that you can connect for navigating in your car. You can connect with their OnStar,
right?
And then that they talk to you and you give them the address. Kind of a cumbersome way to.
Yeah, I don't recommend. That's for little old ladies who are uncomfortable with technology. I want to ask the nice man at OnStar where I'm going. I'm sorry, that was very rude of me.
And I have used like a Bluetooth interface with my own cell phone navigation before, but not having a map in front of you to anticipate, like right in front.
Yeah, I'm with you, because it says turn left here, and you go what? No, I agree with you. I like seeing the map. I think it sounds like you should get the one built into the Volt, but as an adjunct, having Waze running or something like that in the background is very useful. Now you're like in the command center. You know everything that's going on.
Keep it as complicated as possible.
That's my feeling.
How do maps get updated in these cars? Then?
Well, okay, now on the Volt and certainly on my Mustang, you can buy new maps and download them on a computer, put them on a USB stick, and put them in the car, and update them that way. On some other cars, you can get a DVD set, which it will load and read. But it's cumbersome. It's something you don't do regularly, and it's expensive. It's usually $100 or more.
My Garmin, it has free lifetime updates on the maps.
That's unusual, and that was something Garmin did to try to stay alive.
Yeah.
They didn't used to do that, but everybody's desperate at this point because they know what's happening. By the way, the Thomas Guides I was mentioning, you'd buy that book, you move to a new town, you buy the Thomas Guide street by street and get anywhere. Went out of business a year ago, or stopped publishing anyway a year ago. It's times are changing. I remember a day when you go to a gas station and you get free maps. That was right after the guy came out and said, "Can I check your oil, sir?" Fill it up? Yeah, put in ethyl, please. I'll take a full tank of ethyl. And it was a nickel a gallon. Yes, I remember those days. They'd give you free dishes every week, another dish, and free maps. If you really think about it, humans are not made for this rate of change. You understand? We've seen, even if you're 22 years old, you've seen more change in your lifetime than every ancestor going back to the caveman days. I mean, this is unbelievable, the rate of change that we go through. The business, and this is very difficult if you're a business person. I was talking at the beginning of the show about how you've got to, see the field up ahead and change your game plan to adjust to it, but still difficult. Perfect example is Kodak, which, of course, recently went Chapter 11. And Kodak saw the digital era coming. They were, obviously very successful making brownies and Instamatic cameras, doing film developing. They made film. They made prints. They had a great business. But they knew, hey, digital's coming, so they started making digital cameras. They bought a company called OPhoto that was an online processing and photo album site. It was a great site. They did everything they could do to match and to survive in the digital era. They were not ignorant. They knew. They were very smart, and they still went belly up. Why? Turns out you can't make as much money in digital as you can in film processing and printing. That was a very lucrative business, and there was just no way they could make the company survive. And I think that's a telling story for all of us. Things are changing so fast. And you look at companies that were born in the digital era, companies like Microsoft, even Yahoo, even Google, and a decade in, 2 decades in, it starts to become a challenge. How do we stay relevant? Microsoft threw the dice. That's probably a bad analogy. They pushed all their chips in. They went all in on something called Windows 8. They said, well, wow, the desktop era may be ending. We better get involved in the tablet era. We're going to change Windows dramatically, and it is a big gamble, and still the jury's out. Yesterday, the first Windows 8 Surface tablets came out. This is Microsoft, for the first time ever, is making computers. That tells you something. Scrambling. They're really scrambling. You got a quarterback 20 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and he's got 5 big linebackers coming down, 5 big tackles coming at him, and he's going, I better run. They're scrambling, to mix my metaphors. It is challenging. It is very challenging. And I think even a company which has been as successful as Apple or as Google, companies that have thrived in the modern era, still have to look ahead and say, you know, we've got to find the next big thing. What's the next big thing? And there are no guarantees. Just be glad you don't make printed maps. That's not a great business. Jeffrey in Southern California, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Jeffrey.
Hey, how you doing, Leo?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. I have a Samsung LED TV. It's like the 3D version. I think it's the 7000 series. And it got a Wii remote thrown into it.
Wait a minute. The Samsung, it's not an actual Wii remote. It's that Samsung remote that you can manipulate in the air, right? Or is it a Wii?
No, it was a Wii. Well, it was like the remote. A remote control got thrown into the TV, so now I have like a stripe down like the center of the television.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh dear. So you were playing a Wii game, and your hands get a little slippery sometimes, and you reared back to swat somebody with your lightsaber or to swing a tennis racket, and the Wiimote went flying.
Yeah.
And it smacked the TV right in the middle. Wow. You know, that's why, by the way, when they first came out with a Wiimote, this happened a lot. And I don't know if you remember, they updated it to have wrist straps so that you, because there were quite a few TVs that were clobbered that way. I guess you weren't wearing the wrist strap.
Nope. It slipped right out.
So what you're seeing is a broken TV. That line is not going to go away. So what it is you understand that the way an LCD works is a grid of circuitry, and you've knocked out a row or two or three. There's no way to fix that. You can't go in there with a soldering iron and replace that. It is dead. You are gone. You are done. You need a new TV. I hate to tell you that.
Yeah. So that was pretty much my question.
Oh, I wish there were, you could get a chamois and a little floor wax and buff that sucker out, but in fact, you cannot. There's nothing at this point. There's nothing you can do. That what's happened is you've actually physically broken it. There are a number of ways LCDs can break, and they're very spectacular when they break. If you've ever sat on a laptop or stepped on a laptop and cracked it, you see the liquid crystals kind of seeping through the rest of the display. Things like that. Not good. Not recoverable. You're down, man. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Blow the whistle. Play is over. Oh, that's sad. What you do, you should have told them. Okay. So you get there's a special kind of floor wax. What you do is you get a chamois, okay? And you don't put the floor wax on the screen. You put it on the chamois. Very important. And then you just buff it out. You just buff. And if it doesn't go away right away, you just keep buffing. May take a few hours. Yeah, I'm having fun.
I love that for the back of a sweatshirt.
Oh.
Isn't that awesome? But we're gonna make some changes.
Let's ask the studio audience.
I want this to be you, triangulation. But
Yeah, don't put NSFW in the eye.
Right, but
please.
I want red, and I want to move these two. I kind
Yeah, I
of
don't
want
care.
you in the center. No, it's
But
fine.
that's cool. So what do you think we're thinking of this for a new of a sweatshirt a hoodie that we would sell, and this would be on the back.
Color blue.
Well, ask Beatmaster because he bought the T-shirt.
Well, one of somebody in the chat.
See, he's wearing the T-shirt.
Who did this? Oh, the Hitman.
So what do you think? You like that? You already bought a shirt. You're probably not going to buy another one. This is my
This
position.
will be a hoodie.
This is a hoodie. He says he'll buy it all.
And I love this.
I love the 8-bit ones. I saw that. I don't know what we do with that.
Well, I think it'd be cool for our Facebook page, but I want to get a Fez and Aussie there, and I need a red shirt.
I love it. Well, that's easy to
And we need
fix.
to make Jason taller.
This is the 8-bit crew. So this is me, Tom, Brian, Andy, Sarah. She should be about a foot shorter. Jason should be about a foot taller.
Yeah.
Iaz, OMG Chad, Dick, Father Robert, I'm sure there's people missing here, but
There are people missing, but I
that
need a
would
red
be
shirt.
great for our Facebook page.
Isn't that cute?
Love that.
Well, we'll ask them to do one of all.
You
those
guys
tweets
are
for
great.
Facebook.
This is all fan
This is
stuff.
awesome.
You guys are great. Thank you.
Hitmen love it.
Thank you, Hitman.
So we're gonna send
Wow.
some requested changes.
I
think
bet you
that's
people would like an
right.
8-bit shirt too.
Well, yeah, this I'd like to put in our spreadsheet
Yeah,
store, but the
yeah.
other one I want to have on the hoodie.
And we'll have Ozzy in
We'll put
there.
Ozzy
Yeah.
on that.
Beautiful.
You can have
Thank
the
you.
logo on it.
Thank you. They'd be bigger. That's great. Thank you, guys. That's really cool. I should do an ad. So far behind on my ads. It's too late, though. I can't. I'll do it in the next break. Remind me. Who's that? Oh, that's B. Yeah, Thurrot's not in there. Mary Jo and Paul should be in there with beer steins. Johnny Jett coming up. There he is. Hey, Johnny.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, we got to get you a headset, though, because it's, you don't have a headset, huh?
I do. Let me grab it.
Plug it in. It's always better sound if you can use a headset.
I'm trying a different computer.
Yeah, no, the I hear you. It's just the computer mic picks up a lot of room noise and rattling and stuff. That's much better. I can already tell.
How's that?
Much better. Much
All
better.
right.
Yeah. Cool. How you doing?
How
Are
you
you
doing?
stuck in the the Atlantic Northeast?
No, I was in Florida yesterday, and I made it back to California.
So you want to talk about flight delays? I guess we've kind of already done that. What do you want to talk about?
Well, you know what? I actually have a trick that I learned this week. I was booking a ticket, and I had to delete my cookies to get a better fare.
That's good. I like it.
I can tell you about that.
I like it.
And then whatever else you want to talk about.
I'm going to mention getting good packages for the Super Bowl and what not to do.
All right. I'd like to hear about yours.
Kind of got ripped off.
Well, I wouldn't advise you to
surprise.
buy a package deal.
Package deals are a bad idea, yeah. Hold on a
For the
second.
Super Bowl.
Johnny Jett is here, our
What's
travel
up?
guru, the king of great fares online. Hey, Johnny, where are you?
I'm in Los Angeles, California. Just made it back in time.
You're lucky. You don't want to be flying today. I know JFK's closed till tonight.
Boston's closed. Hartford's closed.
Logan's closed. Of course, you can't fly in 4 feet of snow.
You know, a good Twitter address for that, by the way, I just found out, or I mean, I knew about it, but I just rediscovered it, is Flight Advisor. FLT Advisor, ADVISOR. And they give you all the updates on all the airports.
That's
they
good
kind
to
of they inundate your Twitter feed.
You could always
not
go
the-
to the website, too. Because
Yeah, you can go to the website, but
it's nice to have it on your phone, yeah.
yeah. So I like that for, I'm seeing all these updates right now. It says that Boston Airport's going to open up at 11 o'clock tonight.
Right. Oh,
And
I
things
feel
like-
sorry for anybody trying to travel at this point. This is because what happens, of course, is that these backups get propagated through the system. So even
Yep,
if you're
it's a
not
domino
flying
effect.
back east, everything's messed up.
True.
So I want to report back. We went to the Super Bowl. Lisa is my girlfriend is a 49ers season ticket holder, but she did not get picked in the lottery because they have more season ticket holders than they have tickets. So we had to buy tickets, and we bought them online, and we looked for a way to buy them, but then there was no hotels because I guess these packagers just buy up all the hotels too, blocks of rooms.
Yep.
So you pretty much have to go to a packager. And they gouge you. I mean, the ticket price is gouging already, but you can see what the ticket prices are because there are people selling tickets directly. So you know what a ticket's going to cost you. And then we went with somebody called, I'm trying to remember the name, Vivid Seats, I think, something like that. And they say, oh, we're going to add a $3,000 fee. That's fine. I understand that. I mean, it's a lot, but the hotel room was a dump for $1,000 a night. There's clearly some markup going on here, and I don't think it's just the hotel.
Which hotel was it?
It was
Like a no name?
No. It was a Hampton Inn.
Okay.
But it was a little damp. I think they hadn't really changed the carpet since Katrina.
So it's a Dampton Inn.
It was the Dampton Inn. They were in the process of remodeling it. Anyway, smoking room, couldn't get out of that because it's full.
I've actually think I
terrible.
stayed at that Hampton Inn a long time ago. I think that's a nice Hampton Inn.
It would have been, but I guess we were in the wrong. I don't know. Anyway, the point is that, and you suggest this, and next time I'm going to do it, get the tickets online. Yes, you're going to be gouged because you're not going to be. There's some number times face value, but then Airbnb, because I looked, and even though Airbnb is expensive, there's not nearly the markup that these aggregators put on there.
Rent an apartment.
Rent an
or
apartment.
Sleep on someo's couch, like I said last time.
Or sofa surf. What is it called?
Couch surfing.
Couch surfing.
Couchsurfing.com.
Yeah.
So, well.
Anyway, thank you, Vivid Seats, for nothing. They were, they make a big deal like, oh, and we're going to give you a special kit of, you'll have this package with the lanyards and nothing. One hat for 2 people. I mean, it was like crappy. So thank you for nothing. I'll be going elsewhere next time.
Maybe you and I should put a package together.
We could do a better job. Only gouge them half as much. So you said you found a secret trick to getting lower airfares.
Everyone claims sometimes that you need to delete your cookies when you book a trip. And I never really found it until this week. I was looking for a ticket to go from LA to Las Vegas, and I went on my website. I put in the dates. All the windows pop open, and one of them was American Airlines that had the best deal. So what I like about American Airlines is that you can hold a ticket for free for 24 hours. The other airlines, you can book a ticket, and you're allowed 24 hours to cancel. With American, you can hold it.
That's good, because it gives you time to look around.
For sure. So I booked it. I held it in Safari, and then the next day I went back, and I wanted to do it again because I wasn't sure if I really wanted it. I wanted one more day to buy it, and the trick is to cancel your reservation. Actually, before you cancel it, make sure that same price is available.
Yeah.
So I looked, and that price jumped up $200.
Ooh, you want to keep that one.
I was like, oh, my God. So then I went into Internet Explorer just to check. So there was no history, and sure enough, within 10 seconds, it went back down to the normal price.
Wait a minute. Okay, let me get this straight. So the airline said, oh, Johnny's back.
Yes.
We want him to keep the reservation, so show him a higher price.
It's either that or, they had a history that I wanted this flight and that, I might be willing to buy.
Wow. They're very sophisticated. I mean, it used to be the airplanes would fly, with empty seats all the time. And people probably on the plane mostly paid the same fare. At this point, no plane flies empty, and everybody's paying a different fare, right?
That's right.
I wish there were a little bubble over everybody's head showing what they paid for that.
Well, I'm going to create a website where everyone can put their fare in, so we know.
Wouldn't that be great? And it's all because of computers, because the airlines now can be very sophisticated in their modeling, and they know. And things like, and it's not illegal to say, oh, Johnny's back. In fact, we found out that I think it was it Amazon was charging different prices for stuff depending from where in the country you were coming.
Well, and Delta was doing this with their frequent flyers. They were charging their frequent flyers more. Because they knew the frequent flyers wanted miles, so they would pay a premium.
So delete your cookies.
that is the moral of the story. Delete your cookies or switch browsers.
Private browsing. This is a very interesting reason to go private browsing so that these airlines don't say, oh, he's back. It's just like when you go in It's just like when you go in a store and you're trying to bargain with the rug guy and they say, nah, I can't pay that, and you walk out. You better wear a disguise when you come back the next day, because otherwise he knows you want that rug.
It's true.
So wear a disguise when you come to visit those airline sites.
Well, that's what you got to do.
Wow.
So and I did it again yesterday, and the same thing happened.
Isn't that interesting?
So you can try it yourself. Try Los Angeles to Las Vegas on February 27th, returning on the 28th on American Airlines. Put it on hold, and the next day come back and see what happens.
This is and I don't think it's illegal. I think it's just they're using computer modeling. They're very, very smart about maximizing with the cost of fuel going up, and they don't make a lot of money on the travelers these days. It's things like bags, getting the last minute desperate person to pay more, getting the people up front to pay ridiculous fares. It's all very clever.
So you want to hear the best part?
Yeah.
So I went back a third day, and I used a different browser, and I got it for $20 cheaper than I originally found.
All because you deleted or used a different browser that didn't have the same cookies.
So actually, I saved $20 because of that. Because otherwise, I would have bought it the second day, but because it jumped up so high, I saved it again, and I went back the following day, and I found it for cheaper.
You got to be a computer wizard to get the best fares these days.
You know, you got to be a professor. Or you got to be lucky.
You got to read Johnny Jet, johnnyjet.com.
That's right.
Johnny is
by
the
way,
expert. Yeah.
We had a fare this week on our Twitter feed from New York, actually from Washington, D.C. to Istanbul, Turkey, and it's still available, I believe. It's for $3.99 round trip.
Whoa!
D.C. to Turkey, and from New York to Turkey was $4.49.
Wow.
So you got to go to TurkishAirlines.com, and you will find it. And it's only for February.
How is Turkish Airlines, by the way?
They're a good airline.
Okay, good.
They're a good airline.
I never heard of them. Sometimes I worry. Do you ever worry you go on like Aeroflot and you think, you know, these are probably not well-maintained planes? Do you ever think about that?
Yeah, but
the price is so good. JohnnyJet.com and follow him on Twitter. Thank you, Johnny. We'll talk next week.
Thanks for having me on.
I just worry. I don't know. I think some airlines, maybe they're a little more casual.
Well, Google Turkish Airlines and Kobe Bryant, and it has that video with Messi. There was over 100 million.
Business is all about communication. Really? Kobe Bryant and Turkish
and Messi, the Argentine soccer star. It has to be the most successful airline commercial of all time. It just came out recently.
I should have paid attention. I never heard of them.
No, that's not the one because that's only 100. That's the commercial, but that's some
Kobe Bryant.
Some copy.
But it's the commercial, right?
That's the commercial, but that has 100 and something.
I don't want people kicking soccer balls around my. Oh, this is funny. This is a good ad. You know, I flew Delta, and you can just walk in and out. That's fine. Nice to see you guys. Take care. Bye-bye. And they change their safe. This is smart. They change their safety thing all the time, and they put Easter eggs in it. And Deltalina's in it, but just briefly.
Did she ever tweet you back, by the way?
No, I saw you tweeted her.
Oh, my God. I'm going to have to give her a call.
Any excuse to give her a call. Just don't tell Natalie. All right, wait a minute. Let me see if she tweeted me back. It's all right. I'm shy.
Advanced?
No.
She's so something. She's Deltalina.
She is.
Anyway, no, it was good. And they have like funny things like they say, put the smallest things under your seat, and it's a bonsai tree. But when we were coming out, it was a small, little tiny roller luggage. So they're doing different things to keep you watching. It's very clever. Glenn, are you leaving? What? Yeah, come on back here. All right, Johnny, see you later.
All right.
It's definitely a movie theme. Cartoon, maybe?
Would you like to have some ice cream, young man?
Ice cream?
Tea.
It must be an ad. Is that a Turkish Airlines ad? Is that what that is, Kyle Benham? Our musical director puts this stuff together, plays it for us. It's every time we come back from a commercial, it's a mystery, a game of some kind. But you can get the answers, the cheat sheet, after the show. He puts his playlist together and posts it on his Google Plus account, KYLEBENHAM, or techguylabs.com. We'll stick it at the end of the show notes right there. You want to tell me? It's just a mystery.
Oh, yeah. Kobe Bryant.
That was the Kobe Bryant Messi commercial from Turkish Airways. Okay. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number. Boy, Sam in Woodland Hills, you're so patient. Thank you so much for sticking around. Welcome to the show. Leo Laporte here. Hi, Sam. Maybe you didn't stick around. Are you there, Sam? All right. Let's see. Ashtar from Canada. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey, Ashtar, how are? Is it Ashar?
Ashar, yeah.
Ashar, we've spoken before, haven't we?
Yes.
Yes.
Actually, no, we haven't. I talked to Scott Wilkinson last week.
Ah, well, welcome back. You're in St. John's, Newfoundland, huh? Did you get some of that storm up in Newfoundland?
Oh, it's blowing snow right now. Leo, I'm a big fan of yours. I've been watching you back in the Tech TV days, G4 Tech TV.
No, you couldn't possibly, Ashtar. How old are you?
13.
So you were like 4?
4, and that's how I started. Inspired by technology, and I got
that's great.
computers at like 7 years old.
Awesome.
Watching Call for Help with Amber.
Amber, yeah, I did that in 2004 through 2006, I think. So, almost 9 years ago. Wow.
And yeah, so my question was, I am going to Pakistan in a little while.
Okay.
And I want, airlines are making the sizes between the seats smaller.
Yes.
There's not enough space to put bags. So I was just wondering, what is a good bag? Because you just went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, now I have a bag that I carry that has a battery in it, and I could put my phones and stuff on the thing, and it actually is a charger in the bag, but it's a backpack-shaped bag. What are you going to put in there, a laptop?
As you were talking about how, the era of laptops and desktops are ending and people are going more towards tablets. I don't have a laptop. I'm using an iPad.
Yeah. Well, the good news is the iPad takes up no space. It's perfect for air travel. Nowadays, the seats are so close together on airplanes that you often, even if, you put down the tray table, you put your laptop on there, if the guy in front of you leans back at all, it's going to squish the screen. There's no room. So a tablet is I think a very good choice for air travel. I actually carry my iPad mini because it's so small, and yet I could still, play games and watch movies and listen to books. It's the ultimate in airline entertainment. How long's that flight to Pakistan?
17 hours.
Holy mogoly!
Yes. By the way, I am going there with just to let you know, my carrier is Virgin Mobile, Canada.
Okay.
And anyways,
that's now Virgin Mobile in the U.S. is a CDMA carrier. I don't know what they are in Canada.
It's GSM.
It is GSM. Good. All right. So that will work in Pakistan, but it's probably a locked phone, I would guess.
It is actually locked, but I was wondering how much does it cost you for roaming charges if I use 6 gigabytes a data, which I usually.
It's a lot, but you should. It varies from carrier to carrier, so you should call Virgin Mobile or go on their website and say what is. I would like to get international roaming in Pakistan. First of all, make sure that they support that country, because one of the things I've found, and that's with a U.S. carrier, AT&T, is I'll pay for the international roaming, but then I'll get to a country and say, oh, we don't support that international roaming here. It's going to cost you $25 a megabyte. And that's when I turn the phone off and I don't take it out. So you really want to be very careful, Ashar, especially if it's mom and dad that are paying for this. You want to be very careful about how this all works. So I would go to the Virgin Mobile site, see what countries they have international roaming agreements with, and then see what the cost is. Often, you'll buy a package. Here in the States, Verizon, for 100 megabytes, is $25. In AT&T is a little bit more affordable, but it ends up being much more expensive than data here in the U.S. If you're going to be in Pakistan for a while, you've got a GSM phone. Unfortunately, it's locked. First, see if you can get it unlocked. If you can't, then get an unlocked phone and buy a SIM card in Pakistan that gives you data. Often, the local data plans are in fact, always are much, much cheaper. You can sometimes even get, and I bet this is the case in Pakistan, get a flat rate, $30 or so, unlimited for the month data, but a local data plan. That will save you a lot of money. But you need an unlocked phone. So a couple of things. Here's your research plan, Ashar. Go on there, see how much roaming is going to cost. Make sure it covers Pakistan. Secondarily, maybe ask a Virgin Mobile rep, hey, can you unlock this phone for me? Often they will, especially if you're no longer in contract. If you've gone through the 2 years that you'd promised, they'll unlock the phone for you. Say, I'm traveling and I need to be able to use this phone in Pakistan. I'd like to buy a SIM there. And then when you get to Pakistan, go to a tobacconist's, post office. Often at the airport, they have little booths, and get a local SIM, and that'll save you a lot of money. The downside of that is your phone number is now going to be a Pakistani phone number, not your Canadian phone number. But you can almost always forward, before you do this, find out what the number is on that SIM card, and then forward your Canadian calls to the Pakistani number. 88, great questions, Ashar. Have a great trip. It's good to talk to you. I appreciate it. And I guess, in Newfoundland, 3 feet of snow. Again, it's springtime. Summer in Newfoundland. It's nothing to worry about. Let's see if Sam is back. Hey, Sam.
Hey, Leo. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure. You've been very patient, so thanks for hanging on.
Not a problem. I listen to the show either way.
All right.
Question for you. I have ESET on my laptop. I've been trying to eradicate the FBI money pack virus.
That money pack thing is it? We had somebody call you last week about it. You get a warning that says, this is the FBI. We see you're using pornography on your computer, and we're locking it. And then this is the thing that's the dead giveaway. Now, go to your local 7-Eleven and buy a money pack coupon and send it to us. Yeah, that's the FBI. Sure, that's how they work.
Well, I've been able to circumvent it just momentarily simply by rebooting it to an earlier time.
Okay, good. You use the system restore.
Correct. But
it's
doesn't,
it's still on there.
ESET hasn't taken it out. McAfee hasn't taken it out. The Microsoft Windows whatever.
There are ways, if you look online, removing the FBI money pack, there are ways to do it. My concern is it still may lurk, and I'll tell you about that when we come back. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. That is ransomware. It is a nightmare, and we're hearing more and more about it. I'll show you what it looks like. I love Epson and respect them. They make great quality products. You go to Walmart and buy a money pack card and send it to us. Sure.
3 times the brightness.
Sure.
Brightness means everything. It makes your presentations pop.
It is odd that ESET didn't catch that. It kind of puzzles me.
Between white brightness and color.
The problem is if you
they're all brilliant. They all look great.
If you
looking for a business projector,
manually run something, it's hard for them to block it because they're going to get pissed off.
Make sure you have that high color brightness number so your presentations pop.
You want to know who actually sends them money?
You're just not getting the image quality you need.
There's a lot of removal instructions, but I'm not convinced.
After spending countless hours developing an important business presentation, you're going to want an Epson projector for stress-free, easy setup, reliability, and of course,
yeah, log into safe mode, run your antivirus. That's probably a good idea because once a virus gets on your system, it's going to really block it. Yeah, this is a worthless answer. What? So they are still selling the Thomas Guide. Well, somebody said they weren't. I shouldn't listen to people, should I? I'll correct myself. It's such a good story. I bought it.
From Premier Radio Network.
Oh, that's good. They did not stop production. Stickam did, though, yeah.
You are tuned to Premier Channel 7. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, will begin at 6 minutes past the hour. From Premier Radio Network. This is Premier Channel 7. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, will begin at 6 minutes past the hour. From Premier.
So it does look like they're still putting these out. I guess being sold to Rand McNally wasn't the best thing that could have happened. You like my watch? I'll show you my watch. It's actually, I learned something in this with this watch, which is kind of interesting.
This is Premier Channel 7. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, will begin at 6 minutes past the hour. From Premier Radio Network.
So I got this for myself in New Orleans. It's it's an Ernst Beds Croto Looter. Yeah, I know all about this, but right. Thank you. So I like it because it's, first of all, it's got the you could see inside, which I like, but also it has the moon phase stopwatch, which is still going. Oh no, it's not. This is how long it took me to get to work. 4 minutes and 6.2 seconds. I timed myself because I'm a nerd. It also has the date. There's this day, date, month, lunar cycle stopwatch. And it's very nice and it glows in the dark. But then I found out something interesting. They all are using, this is kind of, there's a movement called the Valjoux 7751 that many manufacturers buy. It's kind of like a CPU. And then they build a case around it. And what you're paying for in a way is the engine, the Valjoux engine, and then you're paying for the design around it. Isn't that cool? So this is almost like a CPU without a watch, and then they build the watch around the engine. Isn't that interesting? I did not know that happened. So any Valjoux 7751 watch will have the same capabilities as this one. What you're buying is the styling and the it's the Note 2 of watches. It's huge. It is the largest watch ever. My Pebble watch still has not arrived. So Ernst Benz is an interesting story. They're made in Switzerland, but it's actually designed by an American designer. This guy's, I think, working out of Minnesota. But I just like it. It's a big watch. Just a big clonking. I just felt like buying a watch. It's very analog. It's not digital. That's why I got it. It's not. It's not battery. There's no battery. I got it because Lisa told me I had to. It's not battery. It's self-winding. I don't know. I like it. I like it. That's why. I like honking big. It's funny. Status symbol used to be bigger watch, smaller cell phone, but now it's gone large cell phones too. They used to be really little. I remember 15 years ago, the NBC producer had a cell phone. It was so small he would hold it like this. It was a Sony and the microphone would come out like that. I thought that is the stupidest looking thing I ever saw. And then they got big again. Yeah. I think a Swiss watch with a battery, I wouldn't buy a Swiss watch with a battery. You want the fine watchmaking stuff, right? These are not rounded. Well, they're a little rounded, but they're not round. It's a steampunk watch. Yeah, because Lisa told me to. Is exactly why I bought it. Nobody wears watches anymore. But you know why I bought a watch? Because I got really tired in New Orleans of checking my smartphone for what time it was. Yeah, well, you're from Switzerland. You have to wear a watch. Swatch is from Switzerland. Swiss watch. Swatch. It's crazy to buy an expensive watch. Then it's jewelry, which this is. It's jewelry, not... But I don't know. I like it. And I now know that it's a new moon today because my watch said so. As well as my phone. Yeah, Breitling, great watch. Beautiful watches. They're jewelry now. I will wear the Pebble. I have dozens of watches. I collect them. Watches, pens, maps. It's a very masculine thing. Shopping for men. The Tag Heuers are beautiful. Those are beautiful watches. Those are very nice. I can't really afford those. Yeah, nobody uses pens anymore. I collect fountain pens. It's a fountain pen. Okay, so I'm weird, right? Watches and pens and clocks. I love clocks. I guess that's another kind of watch. Yeah, I love Mont Blanc. I've lost more Mont Blanc pens than any other kind. No, I no longer buy Mont Blanc pens. I have somebody on hold. Sam, right? Well, a good day to you, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Time to talk computers and the internet and cell phones and anything else on your mind, anything with a chip in it. 8888 Ask Leo. We were talking about watches. I bought a watch for myself in New Orleans. And what I found out was kind of a little, I don't know, shocking, but surprising, which is that the watch was based on a watch works that sold to a lot of watch manufacturers. A company called Valjou, V-A-L-J-O-U-X. I guess they're a Swiss company, makes the insides because it's so complicated to make these, and then people build watches around them. I find that fascinating. The movement is made by Valjou, and then what you do is you will design something around it. And the person who told me this likened it to CPUs. It's just like building a computer. You buy an AMD or an Intel chipset, and then you build a computer around it. And that's what they do with these Valjou movements. I think it's fascinating. Anyway, I don't know what it has to do with chips. I guess that's what it has to do with chips. Sam was on the line, and I apologize. So Sam has something that a lot of you have, and I want to spend a little time talking about it. It comes up, and if you see this, please don't be fooled by it. It comes up as an FBI warning. It says, the United States Department of Justice, the work of your computer, and by the way, you'll see various variations on this, but this is one of them. The work of your computer has been suspended on the grounds of the violation of the law of the United States of America. See, as soon as you hear that, the grammar in there is so convoluted, clearly not written by an English speaker. You know, this isn't the FBI. This is a hacker. Possible violations are described below. Article 184, pornography involving children under 18 years, imprisonment for the term up to 15 years. Article 171, copyright, imprisonment for the term of 2 to 5 years. Anyway, they scare you, right? Then they say, all illegal activities conducted through your computer have been recorded in the police database, including photos and videos from your camera for further identification. You have been registered by viewing pornography involving minors. Oh, that's scary. To unlock your computer and avoid other legal consequences, you're obligated to pay a release fee of $300. Oh, well, that's a relief. I thought I was going to jail for 2 to 5 years. I just owe them $300. How do I unlock the computer? Well, you go to a Walmart store, a 7-Eleven, CVS pharmacy, and you buy something called a money pack. And you load it up with $300. And then you send them the code. Now, the reason they do that, of course, is because it's international and it's hard to trace. Once they get the code, they can cash in that money pack. And it's better, I guess, than them asking for a credit card number because they could keep using that. So at least they only get one thing out of you. But clearly, you figured out, Sam, right away. This is bogus. This isn't the FBI. So if you see that, don't pay $300. You're not in trouble. You opened malware on your system and you got infected. That's what that is. Now, you can, in fact, with the since you have Nod 32 on there, restart in safe mode and run the scanner. You should be able to remove it. If you're in safe mode, then in general, often the virus won't be running. But here's the problem. And you can Google, and you'll see lots of instructions for how to remove the, FBI money pack virus. Here's the problem. Removal is not guaranteed. You could perhaps remove the symptoms, but that doesn't mean there isn't other stuff on there or that it's not still there waiting. It's no guarantee that you got rid of it. Once any security expert will say, once your computer's been compromised, you can presume. There's no way of knowing that it is completely clean unless you format and reinstall from a known good source. I hate to say that because that's a weekend shot. But I have to say it because, Sam, that's really the best solution is to, I hope you have a backup. If not, make sure you back up your data, format the hard drive, and I mean erase it repartition and reformat, and then install from a Windows install disk. Then update like crazy till you get up to the current version. Then reinstall the applications you use, then copy your data back on. That's a weekend shot, but it's the only way to be sure you don't have it. Now, excuse me, there are a number of programs out there that will remove it. Norton makes one, McAfee makes one. I mean, it's such a common virus that there are a number of, removal tools. But I have to be, to be really straightforward, the best thing to do would be start over. The question is, how did you get it? And every virus, every bit of malware on your system requires that some program be run on your system, whether you did it intentionally or not. If you don't update your computer, that really opens the door to people running software on your system without your knowledge. By taking advantage of flaws, of exploits in your computer or in your software. For instance, Java over the last few months has had a number of well-known exploits that allow a bad guy to run software on your system without your knowledge. Just by, taking you to a web page that has some malware code in Java on it, and it takes advantage of a flaw in the Java interpreter, and then they've got control of your system, and they could put this on there or something else. And that could have happened without your knowledge, just because Java wasn't up to date. Adobe Reader, same problem. Flash, same problem. And the reason that bad guys are going after these third-party programs and not Windows anymore is because Microsoft's gotten pretty good at getting these updates out and of encouraging people to install them. Most of us now automatically run Windows Update. It's not enough because your third-party software can get infected too. So the advice from the Department of Homeland Security a couple of weeks ago was turn off Java in your browser. Better yet, uninstall Java unless you know you need it. And an antivirus will not necessarily protect you if these exploits work in such a way that the antivirus may not know that there's something bad going on. It doesn't look like something bad's going on. Just Java's running. Bleepingcomputer.com, Ashar in our chat room. Ashar from Newfoundland is in our chat room. He says, bleepingcomputer.com is a great resource. I agree. But I got to tell you, the best thing to do, keep your system update. Make sure your third-party tools, especially Adobe tools and Java, are updated. And the reason is because those programs run when you go to a website. And so all a bad guy has to do is to take over a website, put some code on that website, takes advantage of the flaws in Adobe Reader or Flash or Java, and you're done. Newer browsers are getting better at warning you that this is about to happen, but it's still not perfect. Still not perfect. So, Sam, obviously don't pay the $300. Do try to remove this, and be aware that a removal tool will not guarantee your system is whole. The best solution, and I understand why you might not want to do this, is to take the weekend and format and reinstall. Bob in Moreno Valley, California. Hey, Bob, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for hanging on so long. I appreciate it.
That's okay. Well, my problem, I started my laptop this morning and noticed instead of 2 logins, I had 3.
A login that was never there before.
That was never there before.
And no one has physical access to your computer?
No.
Uh-oh. What was the new login name?
John.
John. There's good. That's good. And there's no John around?
Nope.
Wow. Not guest, John.
Nope. Just John.
Wow.
And it was a standard user.
Well, that's good, I guess. All right, hang on. This is new for me. I'm going to do some research. We're going to take a break. Call this the John virus. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. He's inside the house. Get out of the house. Hey, let's face it, we're all trying to save money these days. We're all trying to find the best value for the buck. I want to talk a little bit about Stamps.com. Where's my scale? I got my scale right here. I love my stamp scale. If you do a lot of mailing, if you're in a business where, I don't know, you mail out flyers or invoices, maybe you sell online, you're Amazon or an eBay seller, you must know about Stamps.com. I would hope you do. This is for professional, for the mailing professional. Turns you into a professional fulfillment house, basically. You don't think that the folks who ship stuff every day go to the post office to buy stamps, do you? They don't wait in line at the post office for their packages. No, they have a better way. How do they do it? Stamps.com. I'm not talking a postage meter. That's really expensive. You got to lease it, and they still see people in line at the post office with their postage meter to charge it up. No, Stamps.com. You go to the website, you buy postage as you need it. Those rates are going up. Doesn't matter. They know. They're going to give you exactly the right postage. They even, and I'll show you how you can get this, you've got a scale, USB scale. They have a couple of different ones in their store. You attach that to the computer, plop the letter or package on there, and it prints out exactly the right postage. It will print directly on an envelope with your logo, your return address. It'll even take the address out of your QuickBooks, your address book. If you're doing Amazon, eBay, PayPal, Etsy, one of those, it takes it right from the website. You get discounts on priority mail and express mail you can't even get at the post office. If you're sending priority express or a mail with a confirmation, you can get a tracking number, and it will automatically, if you ask it to, email the recipient and say the package is on its way. This is the tracking number. I mean, this is just fantastic. And by the way, you don't ever have to even bring stuff to the post office because the mail carrier is going to come to your house or office and pick it up, and you can even schedule free pickups anytime you want. So Stamps.com is a great deal. If you go there right now, I've got a no-risk trial so you can get an idea of what this is like for you. On the front page, you'll see an $80 value. Do not do that. I want you to click that microphone in the upper right-hand corner and enter Tech Guy as the promo code, 2 words, TECH space GUI. You'll now get a $110 value. You're going to get this scale. You're going to get $55 in free postage. You're going to get a supplies kit and a 4-week trial. All you do is pay post shipping and handling for the scale, which is about $5. And by the way, you get to keep the scale even if you decide to cancel. I got to say, this is a great deal. If you do a lot of mailing, as we do here, you're going to want to try Stamps.com. Go to Stamps.com, click the microphone, and use the promo code TECHGUY, and you will be a pro, a postal pro.
You could see him arrive. He stood 6'6" and weighed 245, kind of broad at the shoulder and narrow at the hip, and everybody knew you didn't give no lip to Big John.
What's his name now?
Big John.
Big John. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Big Bad John. That's the virus, the Big Bad John virus that Bob's got on his computer. I think you're right to be a little worried. Bob says he turned on his system and there was a new account on Windows. The login name was John. Can you log in? Is there a password on it, Bob?
Actually, no. There was no password. I went in and it loaded the desktop, and then I got right back out. And
yeah, I totally understand your concern. I don't know of, and let me ask the chat room if they know of a virus or malware that will create a new account in your system. I mean, one possibility is that another form of malware is on your system that gave somebody remote access to your system. And one of the things that person did was create an account. Although, to what purpose would it be to create a standard user, not a limited user account, not an administrative account on your system? I don't know. And it sure is a red flag, isn't it, if somebody notices that?
Right. Now, I did go in and delete the account.
Good.
And the files.
Yeah. When you delete an account, you have as an option the ability to delete everything that was created in that account. That's a good idea. There is a problem that I am aware of, and I'm wondering if this is what's biting you. Our security guru, Steve Gibson, talked about this on the last Security Now, and it's actually a nightmare. And we're going to get Steve on tomorrow to talk about it. It is something that I think may end up being one of the worst problems I've ever heard of, and it comes. Let me see if I can describe this without getting too crazy technical. The flaw comes from a problem with routers. Many routers suffer from this. that allows a bad guy to log in from outside your system using universal plug and play into your network. It is such a major flaw that Steve created a test for it. So the first, if we all go there now, it's going to crash. But let's try. So it's called Shields Up. You may have heard of this before. Steve created this more than 10 years ago to test people's routers for security. He just updated it last week to test for this UPnP flaw. So if you go to grc.com and click the Shields Up button or go to Services, the Services menu, select Shields Up, you'll see press Proceed. This is safe, by the way. You can trust Steve. You could trust me. I, with absolute security, know this is safe. You'll see a big yellow button that says GRC's Instant UPnP Exposure Test. You want to run this. Now, what this is going to do is going to tell you if your router has this flaw, the flaw that would allow a bad guy to get into your system. You're hoping you'll see the response that the equipment did not respond. He does discuss this issue, and here's the scary thing. He put this up a week ago. 1,063 people out of the probably hundreds of thousands who've run this have been exposed. So that means those people are wide open to a bad guy logging into their system and doing exactly what happened to you if they wanted to, create an account, download files, whatever. So read about what he's saying. I don't know if this is what happened, Bob, but boy, for somebody to create an account on your system means that they have access to it. If they don't have physical access to it, they have access to it over a network. It means your system is compromised in the worst possible way. And I don't know what to look for. This would be one thing I would do. grc.com, run Shields Up, and see if you've got this flaw. Many, many router brands do. One fix for it is to turn off universal plug and play in the router, but it's not a guaranteed fix. There are some routers that will turn off UPnP to your internal network and still leave it on to a bad guy. It's a really nasty flaw. It was discovered just a week or two ago, and I don't know of any fix to it. There was a presentation about it at DEF CON, the plug and play, the hacker site. If you go to upnp-hacks.org, you can read about various hacks involving Universal Plug and Play. Universal Plug and Play was a technology Microsoft introduced that allowed a program on your computer or hardware on your network to poke holes in your firewall. And they did it for Xbox because the Xbox, in order for you to play games with other Xbox users, required that the firewall not block those incoming requests. Instead of explaining how to do it by hand, which is very complicated, cumbersome, and techy, they just, built in this capability of automatically opening it up. The problem is, yeah, your Xbox can do that, and that's fine. But what if a bad guy gets into your system and does it? Put some malware in your system that just opens up your firewall and says, come in, boys, the water's fine. That's one of the reasons I always say if you get malware in your system, you've got to wipe the entire system because that could have happened. But now this is even worse. This is a flaw. It turns out it was a mistake in the reference implementation by Intel of universal plug-and-play drivers. Many people use the library, and as a result, these routers not only allow software inside your system to open up the firewall, but allow software outside your system on the internet to do it. That's terrible. It's a horrible flaw. Now, Steve will join us next show tomorrow in, I think, the third hour to talk about this. You can find out more about it at grc.com, and you can test for it in the Shields Up program at grc.com. Probably not a bad idea. It is really a nasty bug. And the sad thing is, because you just heard me describe it, it's very geeky, right? Very techy. Nobody's going to do anything about it. I guarantee you the router companies are just going to be silent. This has been known for a while. They haven't said a thing because they know it's too technical. You're not going to see this on CNN. The problem is the bad guys are technical. They know about it. They really know about it. And I expect we're going to see lots of attacks like this. And, Bob, the symptom you just described of somebody creating an account on your computer without physical access to it, boy, that sounds like it. It really sounds like it. Because what this lets a bad guy do is essentially get into your system from the internet. Get into your internal computer network at home or office through the internet. You really want to at least run this test. And if Bob, if you get the warning from grc.com that this flaw is enabled in your browser or your router, first thing to try is go into the router configuration and turn off UPnP. I tell people to do that anyway. It's a dangerous technology, should not be allowed. So turn off UPnP in your router. And then go back to GRC and test again. If that doesn't fix it, then you need a new router. It's just almost an unbelievably bad flaw. And again, we will have more details next week. I don't, now it could be something else, Bob. It could be that there's malware on your system that did, in effect, the same thing and allowed the bad guy to get into your system. In order for somebody to create a new account on a Windows system, if they don't have physical access, they need remote access via a network. There's got to be something on your system that's giving them that kind of access. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Glad he called. I meant to talk about that one. It's a way, an automatic way for people to open ports on their firewall. So the Xbox, for instance, if you want to play Xbox games with somebody, you can start a game. That's outbound traffic. Your router will allow it and then allow the connection, and then there's a conversation, and it's all good. But you can't let anybody start a game with you because they'd have to come into your network, and that incoming packet will be blocked by your router. So what UPnP does is it says, okay, let's open that port. And if it's just an Xbox, that's fine. The Xbox says, come on, open the port. Whenever traffic comes in on that port, that's for me. We're playing a game. But it also means that malware that's on your system could do the same thing. It could say, open all the ports. Open the pod bay door, Hal. And then it's all open, and then your system is no longer safe. It no longer has a firewall. For it to be allowed from the network, from the wide area network, is crazy. That's just a bug. That was never the intent of UPnP. Hey, our show today brought to you by Gazelle.com. I've told you about Gazelle before. If you have old gadgets accumulating in a closet or a drawer, like the ones behind me, that's cash in your pocket at Gazelle.com. Visit Gazelle.com. It's a great place to get cash for your smartphone, your tablet, even your MacBook, or your iMac, your iPod. Well, a lot of people, when Apple came out with a new iPad, said, I like the old one. Maybe you're starting to think, I want to trade in that third-generation iPad for a fourth generation. Let's see what we can get. Let's get an offer on that. $300, I'll take it. That's not even in flawless condition. Now, here's the beauty part. You have 30 days to take advantage of that, so you can think about it. You can ponder. Maybe you aren't sure. Just get the quote now, because I guarantee you the price isn't going up. They pay the shipping on anything worth more than $1. They will pay you fast. They will even wipe your data off of it. And if the estimate that they gave you is too low, I don't know why, but they will actually increase it. It doesn't seem like good business. Maybe it is in the long run, because then they know they've got a customer for life. That's probably why so many people have used Gazelle.com to sell their old gadgets, to step up to the new gadgets. Over the last couple of years, Gazelle has sold or bought products from over 500,000 customers, paying out more than $50 million. That's an average of $100 per person. And, I love this. When you get your payment, you can get in cash, a check or a PayPal credit. But if you get an Amazon gift card, you get 5% more. They bump it up. They give you back the affiliate fee. You got to love it. Gazelle.com. Don't hold on to that old stuff. It's cash in your pocket. Got an old Samsung Galaxy S3 ready to get a note? Let's do it. See how much our S3 is worth. I got an AT&T. No, actually, mine's a Sprint. Well, that's all right. AT&T Galaxy S2, S3. It's in good shape. No water damage. Yes, it's free of water damage. By the way, they'll buy broken phones. $200. That's a new phone right there. Gazelle.com. Leo Laporte. The Tech Guy, 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. That is just the worst bug. Oh, man. And it's an interesting, kind of genesis of this bug, which is that Intel wrote a reference library. This is programmers use libraries so they don't have to rewrite code all the time. And then if there's a particular tool they like Universal Plug and Play, and they want to implement it in their program, they'll just use a UPnP library from somebody. And who more trusted, right, than Intel? So they'll go out and they'll get the... But the problem is, I don't think Intel, when they wrote their library, intended it to be used. It was what we call a reference implementation. Like, this is how you would do it if you were going to write a library, because there was no error checking. And that's exactly what happened, is people just used this Intel program, this library, without adding any error checking on their own. And everybody who uses this library, and apparently it's literally, excuse me, thousands of router manufacturers, has this bug. Because it's in the Intel code. It's amazing we even survive, frankly. I don't know how the world survives. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. Gary in, is it Laverne, California? Where are you, Gary? Laverne?
Laverne, next to Pomona.
Ah, all righty. Welcome.
Thank you. I got an email from a friend of mine, and I opened it up, and it didn't have any subject line or anything.
Uh-oh.
And but it was a diet ad.
Yeah, it's a spam. It's a spam ad.
Yeah, so I just deleted it.
Good.
Then I find out that apparently it's forwarded it to everybody else in my contact list.
Oh, that's nice. So how do you think it did that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I got failure notices, like bad addresses from people that I hadn't emailed in some time.
Well, okay, so there's a couple of possibilities here. It isn't unusual to get these failure notices without having your machine being compromised in any way. The way spammers work, they don't put their address in the return address. They don't want to get caught. Yeah. So what they do is they buy a mailing list, and they take at random some address from that mailing list and put that as the return address. That person's going to get a lot of bounce backs because the spammer sent out their spam to everybody on that list, and many of those addresses are no longer good. Who gets the bounce back? Not the spammer. He didn't put his email address in there. You, because yours was used. That usually doesn't last. It moves on. We all get a certain amount of that. The other possibility, and this is a little more scary, is that your system somehow got compromised in the same way that your friend got compromised. And I'm leaning in that direction, because what are the chances that you and your friend both would have your email addresses in this spam database? It's much more likely that some malware got on your friend's machine, went through your friend's address book, sent out a copy of itself to everybody in that address book, including you. You opened it up, and in the process of viewing it, and then this is possible, in the process merely of viewing it, you activated that virus, which then did the same thing to you. Went through, got your address book, mailed itself out to everybody in your address book. That's my thought about what's going on, but I need to ask you a few questions to understand it. What do you use for an email program? Is it a web page, or are you using Outlook?
I'm using Verizon.
So it's probably a website, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I ran Security Essentials.
Yeah, you were worried. You thought you had the same thought I did.
And also MRT, which I got.
Good. Good. And nothing.
And it came back clear.
And you keep, do you run Windows Up? It sounds like you're a regular listener, so I'm guessing this is the case. You run Windows Update every month, right?
Yes.
You're always getting the updates. So I think you're probably all right. I think what might have been compromised, however, is your Verizon account.
Okay.
So in other words, your computer is probably not infected. It could be. If you hadn't, for instance, run Windows Update regularly, that means there would be flaws in Windows that had not been patched that a email could take advantage of just in the process of viewing the HTML in the email. It's one of the reasons I don't like what we call HTML email. I like plain text email. HTML is the technology that's used for a web page and is heir to the same flaws any web page is heir to. The same way you can get a virus from Java or Flash or Adobe Reader, and others through a website, you can get that same bug can be triggered by an HTML-based email. Have you patched? Is Java on your system? Do you know? Has it been patched?
Java. I don't.
See, bad guys realized everybody's patching. Windows is patching. We can't use this. This is not a profitable avenue for us anymore. Let's look for commonly used software on people's computers that it can be triggered by a web page. Flash is one, right? Java's another one. Adobe Reader's another one. If you have a PDF on a web page, Windows very helpfully launches Adobe Reader to display that PDF. Well, if the Adobe Reader is a flawed version of Adobe Reader, and there have been many, then a malformed PDF, and a bad guy can make a PDF in such a way, stick it on a website in such a way that when the reader gets launched and the PDF gets opened, it infects your system. So this is all, a route for malware. And so it's possible also that that's happened. You want to make sure Reader's up to date, Flash is up to date. You want to disable Java in the browser because it's constantly problems there. All of these things can be the cause of this. But I would also make sure you change your Verizon password immediately.
Okay.
Because the other possibility is that your friend's Verizon account was hacked, and yours was as well. If you use a good password, this is less likely. If you use monkey as a password, it's very likely. So use good passwords on your website. Also, another common vector of attack for bad guys is the security question. Companies understand people forget their passwords, so they always give you this back door. You forget your password, no problem. We'll get it back for you. The best way to do that is to text your phone, so the bad guy would have to have your phone, or to email you on another email account. The bad guy would have had to compromise both accounts. The worst way is how most companies do it, with secret questions. Oh, no problem. Because when you sign up for your account on Verizon, you told us the name of your first girlfriend, your favorite movie, and the town you were born in. And now we're going to ask you those questions. And if you answer them correctly, we'll give you a new password. But what if the bad guy happens to know the answer or guess the answer to your secret questions? He gets the password. And this is how a lot of hacks happen. We call this social engineering because it's not technical. They're not guessing your password. They're actually getting Verizon to give it to them through engineering, through social engineering. So I would change your password for sure.
Okay.
You couldn't hurt. And just keep an eye out for similar activity happening again. If he did it once, he'll do it again. And so if he has access to your system, it'll happen again. The fact that MRT and Security Essentials are giving you a clean slate is encouraging. I think you're probably all right locally. So yeah, that's the long spiel, because it's impossible for me to tell. My recommendation, if a company insists on using secret questions, is to make up the answer, not to, because Paris Hilton got hacked. A lot of movie stars get hacked because Paris Hilton used the answer to her secret question, "What is the name of your dog?" with the name of her dog. But the problem is, anybody who knows anything about Paris Hilton knows the name of her dog. So make up something. The best answer to a secret question is a random string of 10 characters, letters, numbers, punctuation, something crazy. Now, how you remember that? Well, you write it down somewhere. And this is the flaw, is that people don't remember their passwords, so we have to give them a back door. And unfortunately, these back doors aren't very secure. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Or change the name of your dog. Really? He just got hacked? Wow. We're going to get the gizwiz on.
The internet is an absolute necessity.
The John account. Oh, that's interesting.
We all know there's a lot of dangerous stuff.
I never heard of that. A phantom account installed by ESET's anti-theft utility. Oh, okay, good. Well, poor guy. I got him all scared for nothing. Gave me a chance to talk about that at UPnP, so I'll mention that. So this is like LoJack or something. I should have thought of that. Programs like LoJack will make a fake account. That's, yeah. I'll mention that. Thank you. Yeah, LastPass has a secure note feature that will remember anything, including, if you wish, and this is what I use it for, answers to secret questions. It's possible Flash was called up. You know, there's lots of HTML exploits as well. So anything you could do on a web page. Have I mentioned our phone system lately? I got to talk to you a little bit about Ring Central. We use, we do everything in the cloud. We use Google Docs and Podio and all these cloud-based solutions. But then when we built the building, the studio, I thought, oh, now I have to get a PBX. I thought, why can't I use something like Asterisk or something? Why can't I do something really modern? And Russell said, well, you could set it up yourself with Asterisk if you're crazy, or why don't you use a managed service and have them do all the work for you? In fact, there's one that I've installed for clients that I love called Ring Central. So we went out, we looked at it, we bought it, and a year and a half down the road, we are thrilled with Ring Central. Just love it. Does everything a PBX-based system could do, and like 20 times more. We do the phone tree, the music on hold, all of that stuff, but also things like voicemails will go to your email if you want. Faxes go to your email. You can send faxes through it. They've got text messaging. They call it business SMS. This is really interesting. You use your smartphone, the Ring Central app on your smartphone to send a text message. It looks like it came from your business number, your 800 number, and incoming messages to your business number come in as text messages on your phone, which is great. It means you don't have to use your cell phone number, but you can still use text messaging with clients and colleagues. Starts at $20 a month per user. Yeah, that includes long distance to everywhere in the U.S. and Puerto Rico. It also includes, for you, our listeners, a free phone. For every phone you buy, you get a free phone up to 20 phones total at Ring Central. Now, we've got a special number for you, 800-543-9980, 800-543-9980. Get the free phones, get the free trial 30 days, or you can go to ringcentral.com and use the promo code TWIT. Really is incredible. We are so happy with it. I put the Ring Central account on every smartphone. That means when I make a phone call from my smartphone, it shows up as a phone call from the business, from the office number. And when people call my office number, I can have it ring my cell phone. We use the Polycom conference system in the conference room. All of this stuff from Ring Central. Just use the promo code TWIT. See right here, radio listeners, promo code TWIT. And you get a 30-day free trial. It's a good deal, I got to tell you. ringcentral.com. We have an 800 number, vanity number, unlimited calling, 1,000 toll-free minutes per month per account, unlimited extensions, Android, iPhone, and BlackBerry apps. Love the business SMS. That is so cool. Really smart stuff. All right, let's get ready for Dickie D.
Carbonite your library.
All right. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo is the number. Final segment of today's show. As I mentioned, tomorrow, Steve Gibson will stop by, my security guru, to explain this UPnP problem, what to do about it. One of the worst hacks I've ever heard. This has become virus day. Oh, and I wanted to mention, we had a caller a couple of calls ago who said he got up and he turned on his computer and a mysterious account named John was on his computer. Thanks to the chat room. Somebody in the chat room said, oh, no, wait a minute, that's okay. There is a anti-theft program from ESET that, it's like LoJack will track your computer. And one of the things it does is, and it would have said this in the manual, but who reads manuals, is it creates a dummy account called John on your system that it uses to track your system. That's, if you have ESET's anti-theft solution or some other anti-theft solution on your computer, maybe that, I bet you that's what it was. That makes sense. Hey, Dick, are you surviving the storm? Dick D. Bartolo is your Mad Magazine's maddest writer. He's in Manhattan. He's not leaving his house until next year.
No, actually, let's see. Officially,
the plows went by?
The plows went by, and Central Park got 11.4 inches. Connecticut got the worst. There was a town in Connecticut that got 40 inches.
Wow. Yeah, 3 feet in Hartford.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable. Well, I'm glad. 11 inches in New York, well, that's just a light dusting.
It's a dusting. Well, it's a pause. You pause for that much snow.
No, I'm kidding. That still shuts a city down, doesn't it?
For a few hours. I saw the mail people out today. I was really impressed.
Well, Dick, neither sleet nor snow nor hail nor dark of night can stay.
No, they were in the parks. They were in the park on sleds. They weren't delivering mail. I just said I saw the mail people out today.
Party in the park. So Dick DeBartolo, besides being Mad Magazine's maddest writer for the longest time, is also a gadget hound and joins us every week to give us his favorite gadget of this week. What do you got for us?
Well, you know, you might particularly be interested in this because a couple of years ago on the GizWiz, this was one of your Turn the Table Tuesday picks, and you liked it. It's from Nuatech.
I love their stuff.
You talked about the USB 2.0 universal drive
This is a really good thing for people to have.
Yes, exactly. Well, obviously, now it's the Nuatech USB 3.0, super fast. The company's calling it their Swiss Army knife of disk connectivity. Yeah, so basically, you take an old external hard drive. It can be 2.5, 3.5, 5.5. And you connect it to this device. Then this device has a USB, and any USB, but obviously, if you have USB 3.0, that's the way to go.
Oh, it supports SATA as well. So if
yes, it does.
Yeah. So this is really what is neat is these are very high speed interfaces. So your drive's going to operate at full speed.
And so you have saved a drive that you were going to throw out, or you didn't want to throw out because you didn't know what was on it.
I'll give you a good example.
Go ahead. Give me a good example, Leo.
Lisa's MacBook Air died. But it's got one of those little weird SSD drives in there. She brought it to Apple. They said it's going to be too much, whatever it was, too much to fix it. So what we have to do now is open it up, take the drive out. It's not a long-term solution. You wouldn't want to use this day in, day out because the drive electronics are exposed. It's for an emergency. Connect this up. You could get the data off the drive.
Absolutely, and very reasonable. It's under $30.
Everybody should have one of these because the time will come when you have a drive that you can no longer use for some reason. You know, maybe the computer died, but you want to get the data off of it. Very handy.
Just the way to go. Nuatech USB 3.0 universal drive adapter.
Now, Dick has all the details about this and all the products he talks about here and on ABC's World News Now and on his GizWiz program on his website, GizWiz, GIZWIZ.biz.
And the new Mad covers up for what people can win.
All right, so he plays a game called What the Heck Is It? And he's got a lawn dart. I'm sorry, he's got a mystery gadget.
Oh, man. He ruins it every time. He just
click
ruins
the What the
it.
Heck Is It button. I know I'm wrong. The good news is there are 12 autographed copies of Mad Magazine for people who get the right answer. There's 24 for people who get the wrong answer. So I'm in a good company here. And you're playing for an autographed copy of the April edition of Mad Magazine with the Cartoon Network on the front. That's great. I love it. That's great. Honey Boo Boo, Planet Tad, and the Benefits of Being a Zombie.
Yeah, there are benefits to everything.
Everything has its benefits.
Even listening to this program. Incredible
No benefit whatsoever.
No.
Thank you, Dickie D. Well, stick around. We're going to do the Giz Fizz right after the show. Beatmaster in our chat room is here in studio.
Oh, my word. Yeah, I made him guest of the week once, and now suddenly
he's already done it.
With power.
Oh, he's already done it. Yeah, he says he's everywhere now. He came all the way from Switzerland to be on the show from Interlaken, and you're going to... Oh, shocking. Dick also hosts a gadget show that I do with him on our podcast network every Tuesday. It's called the Weekly GizWiz, or the GizWiz for short. And you can join us for that at twit.tv/DGW. All right, Dick, hang on. We'll do the Giz Fizz right after the radio show.
Yes, sir.
Ben in El Paso, Texas. Hey, Ben, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hello, Leo. Nice to talk to you again.
Great to talk to you.
I'm on an email list from a certain competitor.
Kim Commando.
Correct.
Yes.
I was told I shouldn't say her name for my wife, but you said it.
I don't care. You know, it's funny. The old days of radio, you couldn't mention brand names, competitors. We're in the internet age. Everybody knows everything. There's no secrets.
Everybody knows everything. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, her last thing that came out, I think it was yesterday or just a couple days ago that I've received, states that iPads are now starting to get hacked, and you need a good virus scan.
I have never seen an iPad hacked in my life.
Because Because I don't.
Where does Kim get that nonsense?
I don't know, and I've seen only three, what they say, a virus protection or something for an iPad. They got very lousy ratings from the Apple Store.
No, you don't need an anti. One of the advantages of using an iPad is the nature of the iPad itself is very difficult to hack because programs only have access to their own space, their own data. I know of no malware, none, in any of the Apple stores, the app stores. You're fine. Don't worry. That's the whole point of getting an iPad.
No, that's what I thought when I talked to you the last time.
You know, unfortunately, sometimes people, I'm not going to say this is what's happening here, but sometimes people, I see this a lot in newspapers and stuff, they get a lot of attention for scaremongering. And admittedly, there's plenty of stuff scary out there in the world, but I don't think there's any need to stir up fear where none should be stirred up. And this is an example of, you know, believe me, once there's a problem on iPads, I'll let you know. But this is merely a way of getting more attention, saying, oh, you know, and Kim wrote an article once for USA Today about some sort of music that was a drug for teenagers, that the beat was somehow causing teenagers to go into a trance state. I don't understand why somebody would want to scare people unnecessarily. Nothing to worry about. Your iPad's fine.
Okay.
Thanks, Ben. I'm glad you asked.
Appreciate it.
All right. Have a great day. Enjoy the iPad. I mean, that's the whole reason you get an iPad. You're sacrificing some stuff. For instance, the ability for applications to see other applications' data. You know, on a desktop computer, Word can open a file created by another program. On the Mac, the iPad is very, very limited. Applications live essentially in their own space. There is no file system. That's to make it simple, but it also makes it harder for a hacker to do bad stuff. That's one of the advantages. Hey, thanks for joining me. Have a great Geek Week. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. I'm Leo Laporte. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, the Tech Guy is just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows now on the Twit Netcast Network, and you'll find them all at twit.tv. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPad on iPad Today. You get your daily dose of tech news from Tech News Today, and our weekly roundtable show, This Week in Tech. It's all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next time with another great Tech Guy podcast. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.